Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Movie Mount Rushmore podcast. What is that double noise I've got going on in the background? Get rid of that. And we're better. Let's try that again. Hi, everyone. That's what you call a teething issue. As you can see, it's me, Nico Luro, but the one AJ is not here today. I'd like everyone to jump into the comments and send their love because my man AJ has got COVID and he's got it bad. No voice, unable to move. So taking his place is one of our special guests who often comes on the show. Mr. Big Tone is in the house, everyone.
Yes, all. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me once again. Big Tone back in the zone.
Big Tone back in the zone. And to that, Pedro Sancto says, Opa, opa, opa. Hey, it's a very nice how my big fat Greek wedding reference and a Greek reference. I love that. Yeah, guys. So AJ, as I said, not here. To be fair, Big Tone, you got it quite bad too, don't you? But I guess you're just made of tougher stuff than he is.
Now, I too am also fighting a COVID infection, but again, I'm not as bad as AJ. It's as simple as that.
Pedro, that's very kind of you to say, hoping AJ recovers well. I've actually got a quick message from, I'll wait for a few other people to jump on because we've got a little message from AJ that I'll read out to everyone. But yeah, we're here. We've got our plan B. Not that you're a plan B, Big Tone, but you're like Mr. Backup. When shit goes wrong, call Big Tone. And so I really, really appreciate you coming on, man. We are here to talk
Much
about,
obliged.
I mean, it's in the title, Spider-Man. All the good Spider-Mans and some of the bad ones too, because there's some shit. There's some.
I mean, maybe I'm too much of a pacifist, but I could get enjoyment out of all of these somewhat.
Man, I wish you had that level of pacifism when it comes to Star Wars.
As already said, I want to get enjoyment out of even the ones that annoy me. But there's some that are just unforgivable. But they still got nice, effects.
So for those of you that don't know, Big Tone's one of my very close friends, and much like with AJ, it just shows that friends can argue a lot. Because my God, have we got, I would not even say polar opposite. I would say bipolar opinions on Star Wars. We both love it. Absolutely love it. But it doesn't go well.
But there's one thing we do agree on, though: original
Yes.
trilogy.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Yeah.
yes. And do we both agree that Empire is the best one, though?
I would say Empire's the best one, but Return is my favorite one.
That's a fair statement. Pedro Sancto says, I remember Big Tom from the first episode I watched, the James Bond one. Hope you feel better as well. Look at that. Love from everyone. Love it.
Much obliged, me too.
Much obliged, me too. Right, so guys, let's it's very difficult when I don't have AJ to bounce off in terms of setting up the show. So let's see if I can do this. So if you are joining us here live, welcome as always. You can find the Movie Mount Rushmore podcast right here on YouTube. So if you're new to the channel, please do hit the subscribe button. Please do like the video, share the video with anyone who you think may be interested in listening to two close friends talking geeky comic book Spider-Man stuff. And if you don't catch us on YouTube and you want to catch us on audio, we are available everywhere on iOS and Android. And Spotify, of course. You can catch us on, as I said, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Castbox, Deezer, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Podchaser, TuneIn, Stitcher, and Geo7. So many places where you can find the wonderful Movie Mount Rushmore podcast. Riri Thomas is in the house. Hope you're both doing well. Interested for this one. Love Spider-Man. He's my favorite. Our list will probably be very different. And Riri, that's absolutely fine. Because you know what? We love Spider-Man as well. I don't know about you, Big Tom, but he's my favorite. Spider-Man is hands down my favorite superhero. So yeah,
Spider-Man's one of my favorites.
he's up there, man. Pedro's got a question for Big Tone. Does Big Tone not hate episode 3 as you guys do? Oh no, Big Tone.
No, I love
I'll let you
episode
speak
3.
for yourself.
I love episode 3. Again, yes, the acting is very how you should put it, corny.
Shit.
But again, there's so many great fights in there. There's so many moments that just give me joy. And maybe in a way that they shouldn't, because I find them very funny. Hence unlimited power. And the high ground whole thing. That's just hilarious for me. And then just when you think they're done, the whole no. But you see, the thing is, I got a great time out of that movie. Yeah, I
For
like,
the
you know,
wrong
I will go back
reasons.
to it.
For the
Well,
wrong
not
reasons.
always. I mean, some of the fights were great, man. Like fight against Dooku at the beginning, brilliant fight.
The Dooku fight
Fight
was cool. The Dooku
fight
fight was
against
cool.
Grievous, brilliant fight. Yeah, I
No,
enjoyed the final fight, even though
no.
the outcome was silly. Yeah, Yoda versus Palpatine is a good fight. Mace Windu versus Palpatine, good fight as well.
But they cut the Mace Windu Anakin fight. Now, you want to talk about sacrilege? Why was
They
that
shouldn't have
cut?
done that. They shouldn't have done that.
That was like for everything that the sequel trilogy did wrong, and it did a lot wrong. I can acknowledge that. The fuckery of not showing Anakin versus Dooku. No,
You
like,
mean Anakin versus Windu?
that would be the one. Thank you.
Yeah.
Like,
No, that's true. I mean, they did kind of build up to it in like the other films, but hey,
right. Oh, both of the Hobbit is in the house, and both. Let me just see. No spoilers here. Okay, very interesting. Both of the Hobbit says, I didn't like the new Spider-Man because it didn't progress the story arc. I agree with that. I completely agree with that statement.
I actually disagree with that personally. But
Shock
we'll
horror.
get
Tone and I disagree. We'll get to it, both for the Hobbit. We will get to it. But for now, yeah, we've done the plugging for the YouTube channel and for the where you can find the podcast and an audio. But how does the Movie Mount Rushmore podcast actually work for those of you tuning in for the first time? So normally it's AJ and me, but in this week it's Big Tone and me. So we go our separate ways. We come right back here into recording and we deliver to you, wonderful people, wonderful movie fans, the Silver Screen Dudes, our individual top 10s. As Big Tone is the guest on the show, Big Tone will be going first, delivering his bottom 3. I will then deliver my bottom 3. Big Tone will deliver his next 2. I will then deliver my next 2. And then we will trade one apiece. If at any point while we are rounding off our individual top 10 lists, one person has a movie in a higher position, that person will say, do it, Tone.
Punt.
Yes, he's got it. That person will say punt, and we will punt and talk about that movie when we get to the higher position. And once we have both rounded off our individual top 10 lists, I guess we'll try and create a movie Mount Rushmore. I think we should. We should definitely create a Mount Rushmore. Yeah, we'll do a Rushmore for this one. Yeah, we'll create the movie Mount Rushmore. These are the 4 quintessential diverse must-see movies of this genre. There's not that much to pull from because there's literally only 10 movies on this one. So we're kind of ranking them. So this week is ranking the top 10 Spider-Man movies, a special from the Silver Screen Dudes. So Big Tone, my friend, it is over to you. What is your number 10?
Okay, number 10. Not to say I dislike this movie, it's just more of a product of its time. Spider-Man 1977.
Spider-Man 1977. That for me is... Sorry, I should have actually had my list ready. That would have been good. Spider-Man 1977 for me is my number 9. So yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, like, again, obviously, the acting is a product of its time. The story was a lot better than I thought it would be, actually.
In it.
I mean, the fights are terrible. The
Awful.
fights are terrible.
Awful.
I like the soundtrack, though.
The soundtrack's great, but when you consider that this movie came out the same year as the first Star Wars movie, you have to think, there is some. But do you know what I think this movie deserves immense credit for that I don't think a single other Spider-Man movie did as well? Is the actual origin of how he becomes Spider-Man. Like, they nailed it. The actual in the lab, the Spider-Man. I was like, well, okay, sorry, that is right out of the comic book. That is the best depiction of how Peter Parker becomes Spider-Man that I've seen ever in any of these movies, in terms of being accurate to comics, right?
Yeah, to be honest, it was pretty a bit more in depth how they explained how the spider actually become radioactive and and rolled up on him.
Yeah, and it was just, a lab and a spider happened to be in a lab, and yeah, we all get bitten by spiders, once or twice in our lifetime. Shit happens, wrong place, wrong time. Like, you look at the other movies and it's like, oh, there just happened to be one floating down in a museum, or he just happens to walk into a mass lab where they're like mass producing evil little mutant spiders. It's like, come on. It wasn't that grandiose. It was simple.
Yeah, that's true. I suppose at that point I've got like agree with you.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
like,
but at the same time though, like someone does have to come last time. We can't escape the fact that if you're gonna turn around and say any of the ones with better effects and better fights and everything are worse than this film, I feel you
oh no,
kind of just hate it.
the effects in this are awful.
Man, the
Awful.
string, the literal string. When
It's laughable, isn't it? It is laughable. But do you know what I actually thought I actually admired them for in terms of how the movie was made? Because they clearly didn't have much of a budget with this film. But it's the scenes where he starts climbing, and it's like you can tell that they've done two shots overlaid with each other, and one shot is literally just him crawling on glass because they didn't have green screen at the time, so they've just had him walking on a piece of glass. They've cut
yeah.
that shot up and superimposed it over a building, so it looks like he's walking up a building. I was like, you know what? Fair
Hey,
play.
whatever works. I mean, to be honest, like we won't mention the fact that Superman, the original film, I'm pretty sure that came out, before that. But hey,
Yeah, we don't need to. Let's not throw shade at Spider-Man while we're here. But oh goodness, dear. Do you know the point where I kind of put my head in my hands and I went, "Hey," when he goes into the building, ninjas with kendo sticks. I was like, "Why? What are we doing?"
and not once, not twice, but 3 times he fights these guys.
And then the ninjas and Spider-Man become friends. Like, what the fuck?
I'm like, here's the thing, why they got kendo sticks for, man? Like, they don't have swords, though.
Kendo sticks. Is that what is this? WWE? This is the wrong brand. Oh,
And then when they got the flamethrower and burnt the string.
oh God. Oh God, and the big fall. But you know what? There's a small part of me that was minor spoiler for No Way Home here that was kind of sad that Nicholas Hammond didn't show up just for a cameo because he's still alive. It would have been nice just to have him just for a geeky cameo, and like two
Yeah,
people
it's
in the
true.
cinema
They
would have
could have
known him.
done. They could have done a Stan Lee type moment with him.
Right?
Hell, even Crisis on Infinity Earths, on the DC Arrowverse, they like
Yeah.
showed what's his name, the original Robin,
Yeah. There you go, Chris O'Donnell, right?
huh?
No, not Chris. Oh, what's his name from the Adam West show, right?
Yeah, from the Adam West.
Why am I blanking on his name? Someone in the chat help. The actor who played Robin in the Adam West show. I'm blanking here. Help me, chat, please. While you're doing that, we got a few comments that have come through. Pedro Santos says, I disagree with it as well. I miss these films being standalone ones. These days, it seems that at least 1/3 of the length in a comic book movie is setting up other installments. Kind of true. But you know why they're doing that, Pedro? Because everyone's going, take all the money. Marvel, take my money. And they're like, okay, well, we're just going to make more of these. We're to blame for that. You got to, yeah. If the studio's like, here, you may eat from my hand. We eat, right?
Yeah, but you know what? You can also be clever about it as well. Like, you can tell a standalone story while setting up an eventual crossover.
Yeah. This is actually an interesting point Pedro brings up. I grew up with that show because here's the interesting thing. Spider-Man 1977, it was actually the movie was the pilot that led into an even worse TV show.
A TV show, man.
The TV show was jokes, It was so funny. What was it? They had like a skinny old kingpin with like a white goatee, and he had this fetish for like having girls in bikinis around him, innit? It was awful.
It's trying to be Blowfield, man.
So much. So much. Riri Thomas says, new one was a great cinema experience, but I get the criticism on rewatch. I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. That's a very fair score. I was happy personally, but it will divide opinion when people rewatch. Agreed. Big Tone, thoughts on that?
Yeah, to be honest, like, I've only seen it the once, so maybe I'm still riding the high. But again, like, we'll get to why I placed it where I placed it.
Okay. Pedro then goes on to say Spider-Man was 1977. Superman had a big budget in 1979. So it's similar time, isn't it? Similar time. And then, in answer to your Robin question, Frank Torres comes in with Burt Ward and Pedro as well. Burt Ward. Thank you, guys. Mixed memorabilia is in the house. Hi guys, tuned in, but not really a big fan of Marvel, although I really like the DC Batman animated series. Yes, 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 all day long.
Yeah, possibly the greatest animated hero series ever.
So here's another question to Big Tone and to everyone in the chat. If you could only pick one, Batman the animated series or X-Men the animated series?
That's hard, man.
Oh, yes, yes. We ask the hard questions here on the Movie Mount Rushmore podcast.
But I mean, I'm sorry, but I know it's sacrilege, but I love the X-Men animated series. I'm gonna have to go with that. Because
There's
again,
yeah.
like Batman did have storylines pretty close to to the comics, but X-Men was literally telling stories from the comics. It was the first show to actually do that like that in the same presentation and style and adapt it. It's still probably the best adaptation of X-Men we got on
Oh,
screen.
well, that's beyond a shadow of a fucking doubt because the X-Men movies, for most part, suck. My humble opinion. My humble opinion. But yeah,
I'm
no,
sure
the
most would
X-Men.
agree.
I'm with you, man. X-Men the animated is probably the one I'd go for. Frank Torres does not agree with us and says Batman the animated series. Guys, comment away. Batman the animated series or X-Men the animated series? Big Tone, what is your number 9?
Okay, my number 9, drum roll, The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Oh shit. Right on. Okay. Really? That fucking low. So for that one, I'm gonna have to punt you, my friend.
Yeah, it's
Amazing.
not.
Wow.
I'm not throwing like. See, the thing is, with this top 10, I don't really feel like any of the movies were crap per se. It's just some need to be higher than others for certain reasons.
There's one that I think is crap, but otherwise I would agree with your statement. So okay,
So then
amazing.
moving into
Your
number
number 8?
Spider-Man 3.
Okay, yeah. See, now that's my number 10, and this is the one I think is legitimately god awful. But it's your number 8. Please roll.
Well, see, I don't know. I feel it just gets a bad rap. Like, the one thing that probably like messed up the film was the inclusion of their version of Venom. Yeah.
Yeah.
And because again, it was too short. It needed its own film. He was beaten too early. Um, I don't know if people look at Topher Grace as an issue. I mean, I think he was all right in the role, but like nothing spectacular or whatever. But then,
Mm.
like, there's a lot of fun parts to be had in that film, innit? Like, Spider-Man's like dancing down the street, like when he
No,
sees
Tone. See,
himself.
this is you going into Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith territory again. When you laugh at a movie, it's failing. It's when you're
Yeah,
laughing with a
no,
movie.
not at all. I don't think so. I feel like if you've gone to a movie and you've got some enjoyment out of it, you're winning, basically. I mean, not everything has to be Schindler's List. Like, we don't need everything to be serious and, oh, it's Spider-Man. You got to suspend your belief anyway. I mean, like, and sometimes, yeah, things are entertainment for the wrong reasons, but that was entertaining. You walked down, you just did that little slide. I laugh
Spider-Man
at that.
doing the slide and the do you know the part where I was like, yeah, we can suspend disbelief until, because the part which killed me was when Peter went full emo and went to Mary Jane's jazz bar and they tried to make me believe that Toby Maguire is a sexy man, and I'm like, no,
And they did
no.
the dance scene. Yeah, all right, I
Oh
like it too.
god.
I'll give you that in it.
Oh
but then,
god.
but then there were cool stuff about that film. One, the soundtrack, with the symbiote and the black suit, and the
Yeah.
way they handled that's straight out the comic books. Like
Yeah.
that was great. When he's just hanging outside and he's got the little black suit on.
Yeah, when he woke up
Yeah,
and he's sort of looking at his hands, that was cool.
yeah.
That was really,
And
really
the
cool.
fights with Sandman, pretty cool as well.
Pretty cool. I didn't
Even
like
the
the way
fight
the
at the
symbiote was
beginning.
just sort of magically arrived on a comet to Earth. I'm like, well, no, come on. You set up J. Jonah Jameson Jr. in the previous movies. You mentioned the rocket ship. Show me the rocket ship. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, like to be honest, they just cut to the chase in it. I mean, in the animated series, like we've got to see all that with the rocket ship and whatnot, but here they just like
But they
meteorite.
set it up. That's what annoyed me. It was like, it's your episode 3 bullshit. It's like they set up Anakin versus Mace and then they didn't give it to us. It's like, why?
Uh, uh, that's probably one of my more lesser gripes about the film. I mean, like I enjoyed the fight between Harry and Spider-Man at the beginning, where he has to like fight him in his suit and they're swinging, and he's like, "Oh, you knew this was coming, Peter."
Oh no, see, I hated that part, mate.
You
Yeah,
didn't
you've
like
lost
that
me there.
fight
I hated it.
because we used the tripwire. Like I thought that was great. Like
He
personally,
just knocked himself out. No, the way he, knocked Harry unconscious, I thought was good. But what killed
mm,
me is that here's an example. In X-Men, Dark Phoenix, Jennifer Lawrence is a world-class actress. World
mm,
class. But you can tell in that movie, she's just like over the role and she's like, just give me my paycheck and let
mm,
me leave.
yeah, yeah.
Right. I got that vibe majorly from James Franco in that scene. You must have known this was coming, Peter. It's like, oh,
No, no.
bro.
I talk about the problems I did have with the film. Yeah, again, like Tobey Maguire, man, they had him cry well too much in those films, man.
Oh, he was so emo.
Well,
He
too
was
much.
so emo. Like, what the fuck? I
Like
was waiting for him to like pull his hair. Yeah. Well, he did pull his hair down, didn't
he did.
he? He did go full emo. I didn't even fucking clock that. He was literally emo man. Do you know what they did well though? Although the build up to it wasn't great, the church scene that was cool.
Yeah, that was pretty
The,
cool.
although again, that animated little part is like, oh, we're kind of missing Shocker here, aren't we?
Shocker!
We're kind of missing Shocker here, aren't we? Now, I agree with you though regarding Topher Grace. Do I think he was the right choice to be Eddie Brock? No, absolutely
All
not.
right. We weren't like terrible. We weren't offensive, but we weren't great either.
No. I think when he was Eddie Brock, he didn't bother me. It's just kind of like, okay, we're not going for the big dude. We're just going for it's another photographer who's, competing with Peter. That's cool. But it's when he becomes Venom and the symbiote comes off him and he does this that over the top smiling he does is like, bro, what are we doing?
Mm. Venom also gets beaten well too easily in that film. And
Beaten
like,
too easy, yeah, big time.
it's like, why even bring him into the film? Yeah, if you're gonna just do that.
With rumors to be believed, what was it? Sam Raimi didn't even want Venom in. It was fan pressure, wasn't it? Or studios responding to
But you
fan
know
pressure, I
what?
guess.
Spider-Man 3, Black Suit, Spider-Man 4, Venom. It's not hard.
Yeah, that's literally it. But he never wanted to touch Venom. I think the plan was, the chat may correct me here if I'm wrong, but I think the plan was Sandman in number 3, and then I think Vulture in number 4.
No, I think it was Lizard, wasn't it?
I swear it was Vulture. I even think they had John Malkovich cast as Vulture, if I'm not wrong.
Mm.
Who would have been a good Adrian Toomes, to be fair.
Yeah, he would. Probably, he'd probably be very accurate looking towards him.
Right. A few comments have come in. Giza1962 says, going to see No Way Home this week. Have an amazing time. Do I need to see the 2 previous Tom Holland movies to know what's going on? I'm guessing you need to have seen Far From Home, because No Way Home picks up literally where Far From Home ends. Like, there's a big reveal that happens at the end of Far From Home, which I would suggest you get sped up on. And Far From Home is available on both Disney Plus and Netflix at the moment, Geezer 1962. So enjoy.
My advice would be watch both of them, because again, if you want to be emotionally invested in the character,
Yeah.
like, it's gonna mean more those special moments in No Way Home if you've seen the whole Homecoming trilogy.
I'd also argue if you want to get the real emotional moments, you want to have seen every single one of these Spider-Man movies.
To be honest, I would 100% agree with that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty much not gonna matter if you haven't seen all of them.
Yeah. Geezer 1962, there's basically some massive reveals, which will give you warnings, but there will be some spoilers at a later point in this podcast. But there are some massive reveals that happen. They will not have the same impact if you haven't seen the other Spider-Man movies. Pedro Sancto says, Spider-Man 3 is one of the worst comic book films I've been subjected to. I agree. Big Tone does not.
No, I feel it's not a good film, like, but it's not as I don't think it's as bad as we all want to remember. There's some enjoyment that you can be had out of that film.
I mean, yeah, there's some enjoyment from taking a shit too, but the end result is still awful.
Well, depends who you are, isn't it?
My man, I love Big Tom with the pacifism. And then Pedro goes on to say, MJ sings 3 songs in that film. That's 3 too many.
She said, "Oh yeah, does she?"
See?
What?
They're that memorable. Both of the Hobbit says X-Men. I'm assuming that's in relation to the Batman X-Men comic. Riri Thomas says, I actually really like the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Riri, like, I hear you. I feel that. Pedro Sancto says, that scene with MJ and Harry dancing, the twist while making, oh God, the omelette twist scene, and you do the twist. Oh my word, I forgot. I blocked that from my mind. Good
You know what?
God.
I feel like I just focus on the positive because I totally don't remember those things. I must have blocked them from my memory.
Oh, my man. My man. Giza1962 says, the only part I didn't like about Amazing Spider-Man 2 was about Spider-Man 2 was Toby's stupid face when he stopped the train. Poor Toby. Andy Hart's here. Good evening, gents. Good evening to you, Andy. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us.
Man, that's hilarious.
Poor Toby. I mean, fuck him. I do maintain this. Like, if you're not familiar, I was one of the few people. I can't say that now. We'll talk about it later. But Tobey Maguire is not a good person. I thought there was something. Okay, I have to be careful what I say because I can't go into spoiler territory. We will come back to this point later on. Why is Tobey Maguire not a good person? Stay tuned until the end of later in the show, and we'll get into it. Pedro Sanctos agrees with the train scene. Toby's damn face, man. Toby's damn face.
Oh, damn. If only he didn't have that damn face.
That damn face of his. Big Tone, so that was your bottom 3, yes?
Yeah.
All right. So my number 10 was Spider-Man 3. My number 9 was Spider-Man 1977. And do you know what, mate? My number 8, I shouldn't have punted you because my number 8 is actually The Amazing Spider-Man 2. So my bad.
Oh, there we go.
My bad.
So we only had like one difference there. All right. Like, basically, I'll tell you why I put it like so low.
Go.
The only reason why I put it so low is because I just feel that film had a really good and emotional part with the Gwen Stacy whole thing, but the film was like a step backwards. It was like, what's it? We're going back to the cheesiness of Raimi films and everything, and it just didn't wash well. Especially when you had award-winning actor like Jamie Foxx, and basically you couldn't figure out a way to just make him the best Spider-Man villain. I like going. The one thing with No Way Home is you get to see a little glimpse of what that character should have been. Yeah. And again, the whole thing just felt a little bit contrived, if you ask me.
Bro, I would completely second that notion. I think what you've said there is completely on point because you've got it was a complete step back. We went super cheesy in some parts. I invite you to look at Little Rhino Come to Play Spider.
The Rhino part actually that actually made me leave the cinema annoyed.
Bro. It was levels of shithousery. But then and this is where the movie fails because what's frustrating is like you were saying about Spider-Man 3, there are good parts in this film. Like there are some really good parts in this film.
The fights are excellent.
Yeah, the fights are excellent, but I'd say even that kind of character development between Peter and Harry's like Dane DeHaan is a class little actor, man. I think he's underappreciated. And Andrew Garfield he's Andrew Garfield. He is amazing.
Has gotten done dirty by his own Spider-Man franchise because he was the best part in it, and I feel bad for him that his movies are universally going to be known as the lesser, of all of them. But it's not his fault. It's just what he was given.
So here's something telling. I'd agree that of the 3 different Spider-Man franchises we've had, the Amazing Run this is with the notability that I like them all, but I'd say the Amazing Run is the least good of the 3. But here's the thing.
That's my thing.
Andrew's my favorite Spider-Man.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. I love him. I love him because he was
Okay.
so pumped that you could listen to him at Comic-Con, and yes, of course, actor gets paid to go on stage to promote movie. No, duh. Obviously, he's going to talk good about it. But I got the impression that he was so invested in making these movies great, and it comes across on screen. That
Well, it
and
comes across in No Way Home, to be honest.
spoiler, thank you.
Oh,
Okay, guys, I'll take this moment. I'll take this moment to say that both Big Tone and I were at No Way Home opening night. We're gonna try and keep spoilers to a minimum until we talk about No Way Home. Accidents happen, things may slip out, so we apologize. Like we're aiming to talk spoilers and No Way Home later in the show because the movie ranks quite highly for both of us. And we'll give you a warning in case you don't want to hear spoilers for it. But if we do happen to let something slip, apologies. Okay,
yeah,
it's not
apologies.
intentional. We're not trolling anyone. But in terms of the three of them, not only is Andrew my favorite, I'd go so far as to say Andrew is the finest actor between the three of them. Like Andrew
Oh
is
yeah, definitely, definitely. Like, I mean,
it's so good.
the films that they've been in, like, realistically, no one's got anything on Hacksaw Ridge.
No, no. You can't touch Hacksaw Ridge. Breathe, that movie he did with Andy Serkis, where he plays it's the famous character who's paralyzed from the neck down. Tick Tick Boom, which is on Netflix at the moment. Shit, man, The Social Network, where he plays Eduardo Saverin. He was nominated for an Oscar for that role. Like Andrew Garfield is fire. He's such a class actor. But yeah, the big scene in this one is what it's the. I think it's quite beautiful, and it is straight out of the comic books. It's the attempted catch of Gwen Stacy in it.
Hmm. Yeah, and then you had to go ruin the whole thing with Rhino.
Oh, I know. They should have left it on an emotional downbeat almost. But no.
Exactly. You
Going
should have
to play, little spider.
exactly
No.
it. You should have just left it with him returning to what's it like him making some type of decoration and him putting back on the suit and then swinging. Yeah, like we didn't need the whole Rhino and the silliness and it. Like
It was
the
dumb.
little kid and all that. So,
You mentioned the fights there, that zipping across the power station with Electro and even upping that, like Dane DeHaan is they called him the Green Goblin. For me, that looked more like the Hobgoblin to me. But anyway, putting at straws here. When they go into the tower and they're kind of spinning around like Spider-Man doing all of his looping, and the Goblin literally is like, okay, this is kind of awesome.
well,
Like,
it was like I said, you can't like fault the effects or the fights and everything, but again, the character development behind like some of the Electro. Yeah, again, like it's like
what are we doing? What are we doing?
exactly, it's like it's the early 2000s all over again. Like,
So much.
and I thought we moved
So
on.
much.
I thought the whole point of rebooting the Amazing Spider-Man was to give us a bit of a darker, you know,
Nah,
like
man,
more
it was to
edgy
give us the
Spider-Man.
Sinister Six that never happened. God
Well,
damn it.
they did set that up, didn't it? It's funny. It took another trilogy for it to actually. Nah, not really.
Nah, not really. Not really. I would agree with that. Andy Hart says, going back to what you said earlier, X-Men the animated series. Mix Memorabilia says, with great power comes great responsibility. Whichever Spider-Man that was has to be one of my favorites. That would be Spider-Man 1 with Tobey Maguire. And speaking of Tobey Maguire, Giza 1962 said, Tobey's damn stupid face. I did love the first two movies, though. Poor Tobey.
What's the
Oh,
matter
shit.
with his face?
But it's not just Tobey. Pedro comes in and says, I dislike all of the actors' faces. Just keep the mask on as the character did in the comics. Damn. Damn. Riri Thomas says, music to my ears, Nico. Andrew is mine also. Love that, Riri. Giza 1962 says, I love Tom Holland in the Avenger movies. Being so young and rather innocent, his death in Infinity War almost made me cry. Bro, that Infinity War death was deep.
It was improvised as well.
Yeah, it was deep. Mr. Stark, I'm not feeling so good. Did you remember? Because we were all in the cinema for that one together too. Do you remember the kind of no, not him in the cinema? Like the crowd, you could feel this wave of emotion in the crowd going,
Mm.
You took T'Challa. That was bad enough. Not him.
like I said again, like if you want to see a bit of acting shots from Tom Holland, then there it is. Because again, he wasn't meant to say that. He
Yeah,
just improvised it.
yeah. And that again is this isn't when I say I love Andrew, I love Tom as well. Like, let's not take anything away from Tom. The guy's he's serious. He's gonna be a big actor.
I like all three. Yeah, can't lie. They all have their different
Fuck
merits.
Toby. Although I do like him as
It's
Spider-Man.
his face.
Fuck Toby. It's his damn stupid face. Pedro says, I liked all three actors as the character. Crappy films and all. Tom Holland was excellent in the Star film. He really was. He was so good in No Way Home. And Both for the Hobbit says Andrew is the best Spider-Man because he plays the part like the comic book. I hear that all day long. So that's our bottom three. Big Tom, what is your number 7, please, sir?
My number 7 is The Amazing Spider-Man.
Your number 7 is The Amazing Spider-Man. That is my number 6. Let's talk. I have a feeling we're going to have quite similar lists.
Yeah, like again, for once we're kind of on the same page.
Yeah.
No, like Amazing Spider-Man. Again, I found it to be quite an enjoyable film. I did enjoy it going into the cinema and everything. I did like some of the changes they made. Like he had the mechanical web shooters. He made them himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I didn't like too much was the whole lizard storyline. I just thought that could have been done better,
Yeah.
especially when you bringing
Reese
Ralph
Ifans.
Fiennes, Ralph Fiennes, yeah. When you're bringing him into it as well, like that's a pretty good actor, and like
Yeah.
you can't do a little bit more with him than what we got.
The problem I've got with Reese Ifans, and this is not anything to do with him, I rate him just like you do. Every time I see him, I see the roommate from Notting Hill. I can't help it. Is Lizard just going to do the camera pose and go, firm buttocks? It's like, I can't unsee it. You can't unsee that shit. And if you haven't seen Notting Hill, don't be put off by the fact that it's a quote unquote chick flick. Notting Hill's great fun. Check it out.
No, it's a good film. But like other things that bother me about the film, we did the origin story. We didn't really need to. Again, Uncle Ben died again. He didn't even say the speech properly, but
In it. Although, wait, have I still got you, Big Tone? That is a terrible noise. Let me mute you a second. All right, so while Big Tone's sorting out his technical issue there, we'll get back to that in a minute. Give me a thumbs up when you're ready to go, Big Tone. Yeah, the issue that I mean, Big Tone pointed out the fact that, we had Martin Sheen and... Are we good?
All right, how does that sound?
Oh, no, that sounds terrible.
All right, hold on a second.
I'm going to mute you. Yep, cool. Yeah, so the Martin Sheen didn't really deliver the iconic line, but you've got Andrew Garfield acting alongside Martin Sheen, and for that particular scene when they're in their home and Martin Sheen's Uncle Ben, I keep saying Martin Sheen, Uncle Ben says to him, "How dare you?" and Andrew Garfield said, Peter Parker, I said, "How dare you?" It's like, oh yeah. Bring you in. This is two actors at the top of their game here. I love it.
Okay, how we sounding now?
You sound much better now. Thank you, sir.
All right, brilliant.
But yeah, it did feel a bit like a retread of the first Spider-Man movie. Obviously, it's like we're going to do the same storyline again. See, this is why I think the Incredible Hulk in the MCU actually handled the Hulk storyline really well. It's like the whole story was just in the opening credit scene. It's like, no, we're not going to show you we're not going to show it to you again. We're just going to put in. He's the Hulk already. Let's just
because we know the story. We don't really need to see it again.
And as and when Spider-Man does get remade again, because it will, because it's a character that will be applicable for a remake for every new generation of young geeks and nerds out there. He will be remade again with another actor. Please don't do the Uncle Ben storyline again, because if you do the Uncle Ben storyline again, you are literally going into Batman, Crime Alley, and the Pearls territory. It's been seen a lot. But yeah, this movie gets a pass for me because Andrew Garfield's in it. That's why it's my number 6. Few comments have come in. Andy Hart says, I have the Amazing Spider-Man a little higher than you two. A lot of that is because Garfield is so good. Yeah, echoing my words, Andy. Garfield is just incredible. Geezer 1962 says Defoe is a force of nature in every film he's been in. He's really hammed it up as Oswald, but the evil persona scared this shit out of me. Well, Geezer 1962, considering you haven't seen No Way Home yet, hold on to your butts. Defoe is a scene stealer in this movie.
Stand out villain easily.
He's so good, isn't he? He was so good in this film.
See, like the guys like didn't like know what I was talking about when I was like, Goblin's gonna knock it out the park in our group chat, and then he showed up.
Bro, the 3 main guys, Electro, Doc Ock, and Goblin all showed up, but Goblin was a force of nature in this film. That's a perfect way to say it, Geezer 1962. Oh my word, Defoe is good in this. It's nuts. Riri Thomas says Garfield and Stone had the best chemistry. They did. It also helped that It also helped that they were dating in real life. Very helpful.
How was they? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, they were. They were spinning their spider webs backstage. Mixed Memorabilia says the intrigue is who is it keeping the outfit on and not revealing the person is the best part. When that's gone, what we do in here. Yeah. Well, Mixed Memorabilia, you're kind of touching on a wider issue of the MCU. There's no secret identities really in the MCU. Everyone knows who everyone is. Thor, well, yes, we know who Tony Stark is. We know who Captain America is. We even know who Black Panther is. The guy who wears a mask is like, you kind of don't need to. We all know you're the king of Wakanda, bro. Yeah, Wakanda forever. But yeah, we know who you are, motherfucker. Like Stephen Strange, the Doctor? Yeah, that guy. Like, there's no secret identities. So that's an MCU problem. Andy Hart says, wait to see Rhys Ifans in The Kingsman. I'm still on the fence about whether I'm going to see that movie in the cinema or not, Andy. Simple reason being is that the second Kingsman I thought was dog shit.
Oh, really? Didn't like that?
Oh, I hated it. I hated it. It was such a step down from the first one, I thought.
I liked Julianne Moore. I thought she was good as the villain, the housewife villain.
We're not going to get into a Kingsman debate on the show right now. Gavin Mann's in the house. Good evening, Gavin Mann. Great to have you back on the show with us. Thank you for joining us. Pedro Sancto says, as I said, the casting in all of these films has been very inspired. All the characters. It has. Andy Hart says, don't think we will be seeing Uncle Ben anytime soon. The MCU's next Spider-Man has to be Miles Morales. Well, it doesn't. It doesn't. I'd love it to be. We'll see if that's the direction they go down. Words 789 says, I've just seen Spider-Man, and also then goes on to say, didn't Hulk have a secret identity? Early in the MCU, yes. I think in the Big Tone, correct me if I'm wrong here, but in The Incredible Hulk, I think his identity was still semi-secret. Some people knew. Some people knew who he was, but then it became like when the Avengers became pop stars, basically, it was like everyone wants a selfie with the Hulk. Everyone knows who the Hulk is. Geezer 1962 says, I like Jamie Foxx's Electro, but I felt his appearance was just not right. I heard he looks cool. Oh yes, he does look cooler in the new film. That
redemption.
Oh yes, that. Oh, bro, you weren't sitting next to me. You were 2 seats down from me. I grabbed Den's arm so hard, bro. The proper homage to Electro, so good. Andy Hart says it's better than the second Kingsman, not a patch on the original. I'll wait for it to come onto Sky then. Mixed Memorabilia says, can I mention Scorsese and Marvel? You can indeed, because sometimes the grandparents just need to keep quiet. Now, I love Marty Scorsese. Big Tone, do you like Marty Scorsese?
Of course I love him.
Who the fuck doesn't like Martin Scorsese? If you're a film fan, by extension, it kind of means you like Martin Scorsese. But Marty, come on, shut the fuck up.
I literally thinking the same thing. Like, to be honest, like it's not just him. I've heard of a lot of these, geriatric directors.
Geriatric Ridley Scott, who blamed the Facebookers and the tweeters for his movie not making $1 billion. It's like, Uncle Ridley, please be quiet.
No, you lost your touch.
Yeah, literally. Literally. House of Gucci was fine. The Last Duel was fine. You ain't making Gladiator anymore, my friend. When you make Gladiator again, you will make $1 billion
You
again.
know
You
what?
know what I mean?
I'm more referring to the fact that he managed to fuck up his own franchise, isn't it?
Alien.
Exactly. Like, I'm sorry, Prometheus and Alien Covenant especially.
But now
Boy.
here's an interesting one. Paul Thomas Anderson, one of the greatest auteurs, one of the greatest directors of our time. Not necessarily having the level of notoriety and fame that Martin Scorsese does. He gets it. Paul Thomas Anderson recently said, I like the Marvel movies. Not only do I like them because they entertain me and they make my children happy, which, by the way, he completely fucking gets it if that's what he's saying, because if you are going to the cinema, it is an experiential event. If you are there with your kids and you're seeing something on the screen make your kids that happy, that's a nice feeling, right? So he gets it in that sense. And then he goes on to say, but these movies that everyone slams, they're getting people into the cinemas. And the more people keep going to the cinemas and keep having great experiences, the more likely they are to come back and see other movies and hopefully see my movie. So Paul Thomas Anderson, you get it.
I mean,
Martin
like,
Scorsese, I love you for life. I will always be your fan. I will see every movie you make. I won't always rewatch them, but I'll see everything you make. Shut the fuck up.
here, like I said, no disrespect to you, Martin, but shut the fuck up, because again, there's many different reasons why you're going to go to the cinema. Many different forms of entertainment.
Yep.
Not everything has to be some stylized artistic bullshit. Yeah, like you know, there's room for all the categories, including superhero films. Yeah, I'm
Yes.
sorry that they're the big dog at the moment, and you feel maybe your movie should be, but it's the world we live in. Maybe yours will be again. Yeah, who knows? But it doesn't mean that you should be dunking on the biggest genre in cinema.
It's correct. And the last thing I'll say on this before we get back to our lists, this boring soundbite, and I'm not saying anyone in the chat is guilty of this. If you are, listen up. And if you're not, then cool, very good. We are friends. But the boring soundbite that I hear from, and it's usually, as you rightfully said, Big Tone, it's the old geriatrics. It's the sort of 50-year-old and ups, right? I'm not saying all people do that, but I'm saying that seems to be the demographic saying this. The boring soundbite that I hear of, Marvel movies are ruining cinema. There's no original cinema being made anymore. It's like, okay, if you believe that, then you're not actually looking at the cinema listings, because at no point in cinema history ever has there been more original content being made. Ever. Is it also true that at no point in cinema history there have been as many remakes and sequels and sidequels and reboots and spin-offs? That is also true. But the amount of original content being made at the moment is nuts. Like, if you look at, like, I mean, I'm not going to reveal it because next week AJ, who will hopefully be back then, we'll be talking about our top 10 movies of 2021. One comic book movie on there. All the others are movies are like, who in the chat, if you disagree, if you don't, fantastic. But who in the chat has seen The Last Duel? No one saw that movie. I saw it. I really enjoyed it. Who's seen House of Gucci? It's fine. Who's seen Mixed Memorabilia? Maybe you have. Who's seen the Indian movie Sapata Parambarai? That actually got a UK release in the cinemas. No one went to see it. Really good fucking Indian boxing movie. Like, yeah. Yes, the smaller art house films, they don't have the marketing budget that a Marvel movie does, where it releases a new trailer every 2 weeks. Granted, so they are harder to track down. But the soundbite of Marvel movies are ruining cinema is bullshit. Big Tone, any thoughts on that?
Well, to be honest, if you're gonna be honest and say anything is ruining cinema, it's just the fact of streaming and availability. Like
10
we
points.
can watch these things whenever we want now. The like need to go out and sit in like a theater for 2 hours. It's just not always appealing. Like to someone who's not like me and Nico, movie fans who we like to go out to the cinema, especially for that. If you don't especially like to go out for that, then you know something like HBO Max is your your biggest dream come true. You can just sit there and watch blockbusters, brand new blockbusters from the comfort of your own home. Like Matrix is coming out; it's going to be on HBO Max.
I know it's been pulled. They're only
Oh,
getting a
has it?
cinema release. Yeah, which is the best news
Okay.
ever. It's only, which I think is really good of them
Yeah,
to
it
do.
should. It should. It needs to do it justice.
Right. See, a film like The Matrix, you've just hit the nail on the head, Big Ton. That should not be going to streaming on the same day. That needs to be experienced in. Listen, I've got a big fuck off TV sitting in my living room, as do you, my friend. And we've both got a pretty decent surround sound system set up. But it doesn't compare to the cinema, the massive screen, that Dolby blow your ear off sound, the communal feeling of an audience all show, like that No Way Home's experience we had where everyone clapped at that moment. You cannot capture that at home. It's an
Nah.
experience going to the cinema. And these
No Way
movies
Home was
bring joy
definitely
to
one of the
people.
best cinema experiences that I've
Yes.
had, man.
Endgame, Jurassic Park, these are all like moments that stay with you forever. So, and because they make $1 billion. Scorsese, I love you, but shut the fuck up. You know? Shut the fuck up. People like them. Get on board or fuck off. Where were we? Massive tangent there. Pedro Sanctos says, can you think of a villain that Willem Dafoe wouldn't nail? He would. Oh, he would have been a great Joker.
Oh yeah, definitely. That laugh.
Yeah, he would have been a great Joker. Word 789 says, I liked Jamie Foxx in this movie. He was my fave. He was fantastic. Proper redemption. Frank Torres says, Defoe is such a good actor. The mask slows him down. Go and see No Way Home, my friend. It don't slow him down in this film. By the way, for you guys, okay. And here we go. Back to the Outhar stuff. Everyone's loving Willem Dafoe. Who has seen The Lighthouse with Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson? Because that's a movie y'all should see. That is stellar acting. That's Dafoe at one of his best roles. Word 789 says, I liked how they made all the villains livable with good lines. Yep. Likeable.
Yeah.
Likeable with good lines. Yep. Gavin Mann says, controversial, but I don't rate Scorsese as highly as most people. I like some of his films, but that's it. It is
fine. It's a
controversial.
fair point.
Yep. It is a fair point. It is controversial because he is pretty universally loved. But I'll say this. I think his last 2 movies have sucked. The Irishman I had no time for. Like, there's a reason that movie went to streaming because it was 3 hours of fluff and silence. Even though it had my boy Andrew Garfield in it, Silence was not a good film, in my opinion. Pedro Sancto says, I understand Scorsese's point, and to an extent, I agree with him. It's a different kind of movie experience altogether. Yes, but what?
That's the counter argument
Yeah.
to that point, is that it's a different type of experience. Yes, I will clearly go down and sit through epic like The Departed and absolutely love it, eat it up every single moment.
Yeah.
But then, like, why does that mean I can't go and enjoy, Spider-Man,
Godzilla versus
Iron
Kong,
Man,
Fast 9,
the big
stupid
exactly,
shit. Yeah.
This disposable stuff. Not everything has to be meaningful cinema. Some things can just be for entertainment.
Yes.
The whole thing is about escapism.
Yes. Coke and popcorn in the mouth. Turn brain off. Have some fun.
Exactly.
Spider-Man No Way Home has not moved me to my core. It has not altered my outview on life, but it gave me a fucking good time with my friends for 2.5 hours.
Exactly. And again, there's different reasons why you're gonna want to watch different types of films.
Yep.
Like, that's why we have different genres. Like, that's why we have, different methods of shooting.
Bingo.
If it was all the same, it would just be boring. Like, if you come out with like 20 films a year, that would be boring as well.
Yep.
So I feel everyone just needs to be accepted that, yeah, maybe Marvel films are cleaning up at the box office, but that's because they're the most appealing to the general audience. It just is what it is. You need to just focus on making, good films. Like, just do what you do.
Who saw Wes Anderson's The French Dispatch? That's another great film that came out this year. Wes Anderson's new movie. It's one of the most beautiful films I've seen in years. Imagine very few people saw that too. See what I mean? There's so much original
the people
content.
Are gonna come anyway to see that film. Like, it's not gonna change your audience if Marvel stops making films.
Exactly. If anything, it's counter programming. It's like, oh, you're someone who doesn't like Marvel? No problem. We have The French Dispatch available for you to see. Please come to the cinema and appreciate this movie instead. Geezer 1962 says, I never care for the Green Goblin Bridget mask. Ha! You're gonna love No Way Home then, my friend. I'll say no more. Word 789 says Scorsese lost his touch, hated his last De Niro movie. Yeah, The Irishman. It sucked. It sucked balls. Paul Thomas Anderson also mentioned how he understood Scorsese. Yeah, he's being diplomatic. You don't openly slam Martin Scorsese, do you? Come on. Ruby Thomas says superhero films are saving cinema at this rate. Let's be real. Yes, literally. Literally. They are putting money in the cinemas to keep them alive. Like, yes, 100%. Word 789 says, although the movie had many plot. Yes. No spoilers, please. Frank Torres says, loves Scorsese, but he disliked Marvel films because he's actually on the outside. It's one of the few movies he doesn't know how to make. Yeah. But then, do you know what? I'd love to see Scorsese try and do something like, I don't know, a Blade movie or a Tombstone movie. How good would a Scorsese Tombstone movie be? Come on. Come on. Big time.
How about he takes a shot at the Punisher? I wouldn't mind seeing that at all.
Yeah. There you go. Scorsese doing the Punisher. That's love that. Fantastic. Mixed Memorabilia says, fantastic guys. Look, I'm here and I'm not a fan of Marvel, but the discussion is Mixed Memorabilia. Love you. By the way, Mixed Memorabilia, Indian movie coming, as I said, in my top 10 next week. I'm very curious to see if you've seen it. Pedro Sanctos says, Defoe's mask was a mistake in my book. At Giza 1962, it looked like Ultraman, Yaspin, and the likes. Y'all are gonna love No Way Home then. Okay, spoiler. First spoiler from No Way Home. Blah, blah, blah. Hands in the air. Warning now. The mask is gone. The mask is gone. The mask is gone. Andy Hart says, I saw The Last Straw in the cinema, really liked it. Andy, thank you. See? Good film. Good, fun film. And it had, Damon, Affleck. It had Adam Driver. This was an amazing high-budget medieval film. No one fucking saw it. And it was really good.
You know what? Honestly, I think they just fucked up with the timing of release.
Oh, completely.
Had they released that earlier in the year, then people would have gone to see it.
Yeah, exactly. Word 789 says, who's seen Silence? Present. Sucked. Hated it. I did not care for Silence. And that's literally a movie that was made for me. Japan, Andrew Garfield, made by Martin Scorsese. You would think that's right up my ballpark. No, didn't work for me. Pedro Sanctos says, the argument of ruining cinema is dumb indeed, and it's a recurrent one, isn't it? It resurfaces. Yeah, it's so boring. Like, what was it a few years ago? It's like, oh, these Star Wars movies. It's like, oh, shut up. Have a Coke, a bag of popcorn, a smile, and shut the fuck up, Gavin Mann says,
anything that's at the top, basically, is going to receive the same criticism.
Of course it is. Like, Avatar, biggest grossing movie of all time. Oh, the gay Smurf movie. It's like, sure.
That's not what they call it.
The Germans call it that. I'll never forget, man. When I was out in Thailand, I'd just come back from the UK and I experienced Avatar in beautiful 3D. Come back to my condo in Thailand, and the guy who manages the condo is this, kind of, he doesn't give a fuck type of German guy called Raul. And I was like, hey, man, Raul, you need to go to the cinema to check out that. I was like, oh, you like that shit? It's a gay Smurf movie. It's always stayed with me, the gay Smurf movie. But I kind of get it, but it looked pretty, and it was an experience, and it was great. But it's become trendy to hate on it, of course. It's become trendy. Basically, as you said, Big Tone, anything big. People hate Titanic. Why? Titanic's fun. Titanic's a good time. Pedro Sanctos says, nothing's ruining cinema. Like all things, cinema is constantly mutating and evolving. Yeah, kind of like the COVID pandemic, right? Wee. Word 789 says, everyone clapped at that one moment in No Way Home. There you go. You see? There were
multiple parts where people were clapping and cheering. I mean, it was so much fun.
It was such a laugh. Then Both of the Hobbit says, I never heard of The Last Duel or House of Gucci. This is proving my point. And Both of the Hobbit is someone who likes their movies. And House of Gucci, a Ridley Scott movie that came out this year. Some people saw it, some people didn't. Some people haven't even heard of it. Here is your proof, guys. This is what I'm saying. Like, movie fans, we are all movie fans here. And
I'm actually surprised House of Gucci isn't bigger.
But can I be real? It's not that good. That's why. That's actually why it's not bigger. The
There
trailer,
it is.
the trailer was amazing, like amazing. This it. It's guilty of the same things that Alien Covenant was guilty of. It's like Ridley Scott trying to be a bit too full of himself. It's like, boy, just can you lighten up? Can you try and entertain me instead of preaching to me? And then, yeah, Andy Hart agrees with me. The Lighthouse was excellent. Pedro says the Lighthouse was excellent. Mixed memorabilia, great Nico. He has seen Zapata Parambarai. Please watch the true tragic Korean film, The Champion. I will check that out. By the way, Big Tone, if you are on Twitter, Mixed Memorabilia is really one to follow. Like the movies this person pulls out from like, have you seen this movie? No. Like my list of movies I need to see has grown from that to off screen. Like, because of Mixed Memorabilia. Like,
I'm not on Twitter, but I will take your suggestions.
I'll relay them to you. How about that? Word 789 says Irishman was shit. I agree. Gavin Mann says, is Peter Mullen in The Lighthouse? No, Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson. It's a two-man show. Mixed Memorabilia says, Nico, The Irishman is not 3 hours, but 4.5 hours, and it's like a fine red wine. Yeah, it's true. If you leave it out too long, it goes bad. It's exactly like a fine red wine. Word 789 says someone was crying in my theater for No Way Home. We had one or two actually crying in ours for No Way Home. It was nice to see people being moved. See, they can move you to your core. Riri Thomas says, would love to see Willem Dafoe and Christoph Waltz in a film together. Playing proper evil characters would be great. Yeah. Yeah, so there's a lot of comments that have come through, guys. Just I can't read them all. Oh, this one's interesting though. From Munteza Ali. I want to see Quentin Tarantino do a Marvel movie.
I don't think he could really.
I would love to, because essentially all of Tarantino movies are basically comic strips. They're literally comic strips. They're a bit too violent. They're a bit. Do you know what Tarantino would be great? Lobo.
Yeah, that would be great.
Lobo. Tarantino doing Lobo.
But actually, it depends, isn't it? If they're gonna do hard R Marvel films, then yeah, give it to Tarantino all day.
Word 789 says, imagine a Scorsese Spawn movie. That would be interesting. I could see that. Okay. Right. So fuck me, that was a massive tangent. Big Tone, that was your number 7. What's your number 6?
Number 6, like not in any way because I feel it should be lower than the others or whatever. It's just the others were just simply higher. But number 6 is Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh my fucking word. No, my friend. That, sir, is a punt. Oof, sacrilege. My number 7 then, we're obviously going to punt. My number 7, it's the OG, the Tobey Maguire and his dumb face, Spider-Man. Punt it is. Right. So my number 6 was The Amazing Spider-Man, which we've obviously just discussed. So Big Tone, your number 5, please, sir.
Far From Home.
Far From Home at your number 5. And for me, that is also my number 5. Perfect. Now I'm going to leave this poster up a moment. How bad is this poster? Like, legitimately, how shit is this poster? Like, have you noticed that? What's the one thing that this poster does that not a single other poster does? Spider-Man's not wearing his freaking mask.
Yeah.
Like, in every poster, it's Spider-Man with a mask on. But it's like, I don't know what Marvel were thinking here. It's like, Spider-Man's not going to wear his mask. Mysterio's not going to have his globe. Like, why?
They just want to show the actors. But to be honest, like, if they're clever, they can have the actors without the mask and masks in the same poster.
This is it. Photoshop. But let's talk about the movie. Fuck the poster. Talk about the movie. Big Tone, lead it.
All right. You know what? I really enjoyed Far From Home. Again, it was, as we know, it was the first film after the major film, Endgame. So everyone was like, oh, not sure what to expect now, because obviously the whole landscape of Marvel has changed. How they're gonna address certain things, what are the repercussions gonna be, And for that, it was a nice little opening act. In like basically establishing where we're going from here, acknowledging the blip as they've called it. I liked the fact that they had their own little word, buzzword for it. That's a nice touch. That opening video with everyone everyone who died from the Avengers, that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Also, I tell you what, I really liked. I liked Jake Gyllenhaal, his performance as Mysterio.
Loved it.
It was completely different from any Mysterio we've seen before, but it was good. Like, because again, it's very in sync with the MCU.
Completely.
Yeah, like you could definitely see that character being created in the MCU.
Yep. I don't have that much to add to that, actually. You've kind of summed it up nicely. I did like the globe-trotting aspect to it. I thought seeing Spider-Man in London and Venice, I was like, this is pretty cool. I like the different suits that they had. The one thing I've kind of found that the Tom Holland Spider-Man run is guilty of, it's a bit of a soundbite. I just happen to agree with it. I wish they would stop. They didn't do it in No Way Home, thankfully, but in Spider-Man Homecoming and certainly in Far From Home, they did it the worst. It's like, bro, you're not Iron Man Jr. You're Spider-Man. You're Spider-Man. Like, how mad is it that the world we live in now, Iron Man is a bigger character than Spider-Man, arguably?
I always loved Iron Man. Like,
Bro, I always loved Iron Man, but let's be real. Growing up in the 80s and 90s, most people didn't know who the fuck Iron Man was.
Yeah, it's true. Most people didn't. I mean,
Yeah.
I knew who Iron Man was, well, obviously reading the comics, but more the animated show that tied into all the other shows.
Surprisingly good, right?
Yeah, oh man, remember that testosterone that filled opening?
Yeah.
I am Iron Man. He's just there with his hammer, with his shirt off, just bang, just beating the
Proper
his
macho
suit.
stuff.
Yeah, no, I always liked that. So like, yeah, I see what you say, but then again, I suppose it's a bit of a callback to the comics when there was a time when Tony Stark and Spider-Man was real close. This was in the run up to Civil War, the first one. That's why Spider-Man got that suit. Like it's different colors.
Which Civil War? The Brubaker run or the Miller run?
No, the first Civil War.
The
Like
first Civil
yeah, Civil War 1, not 2. And like that's where he first got the Red Scarlet suit, isn't it? Yeah, and like obviously in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's got blue in it, but it's the same suit, you know, with the claws and whatnot. Yeah, so I mean that's why I wasn't too offended by that, but I suppose if you don't know that, it's like why are we trying to make Spider-Man Iron Man Jr.?
Yeah, literally that. By the way, you've pissed off people in the chat with your with some of your positioning, but that's the nature of a top 10 list, right, Big Tone? What's 7 out of 9? Oh my fucking god, 6 Into the Spider-Verse should be up there. Well,
you know what? Like I said,
go on.
Into the Spider-Verse, it's not that it's like 6 because like it's not a good film. Yeah, it's just but I enjoyed the others better. That's it.
Yeah.
Like if I could all put them at the same level, I probably would do that. But if we're ranking them by how we've actually enjoyed them and what those movies are actually meant to you, then like you know, I've only just like not too long ago seen Into the Spider-Verse. Yeah, and I really enjoyed that film. I really did. It's not I don't have a bad thing to say about that film, but I enjoyed Far From Home better than that film. To be honest.
That is not something I hear every day, but bro, fair play to you. A few people have agreed about the poster though. Frank Torres says the Far From Home poster looks like a bootleg. It legit does. Let me bring it up again. This is ridiculous. What is this? This is like if a knockoff company made a Spider-Man movie and then Photoshop famous actors' faces on it. It's such a shit poster. Like it's legitimately awful. Word 789 says it looks like a poster from 2001, like a Euro poster. But now here's a comment that's going to both shock Tone and I think a few people in the chat. I can't stand Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I don't like 10-year-old.
I've heard that before.
Have you really?
Yeah, I've heard that before. With it, like certain people have found him a bit too whiny and thought like you know he's a bit too babyish. Like
Whiny.
I'm trying.
I invite you to look at Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire if you think Tom Holland's whiny.
This
Jesus.
is it. Like, my counter argument was like, look, it's just a younger version of Spider-Man, the youngest one we've seen. And to be honest, Spider-Man's supposed to be young.
This is it. Spider-Man's kind of meant to be a kid. He's meant to be a high school teenager, right?
Yeah.
He's just wrongly named. He should be called Spider-Boy.
Like, again, Far From Home, the fights as well, like, you know, all the parts with the drones and everything, when he
Yeah.
used his spider sense to just like handle them at the end. There's a lot to like in that film, Eric.
How well was the spider sense handled in No Way Home? Oh,
Exactly.
so just we'll get to that film later. Pedro Sancto says, even though he might be one of the folks responsible for the worst one, Sam Raimi was such an inspired choice to doubt. He was. He really was. He's always done great movies, Sam Raimi. Riri Thomas says, Far From Home personally bored me a bit. I thought a lot of the comedy fell short, but it was okay in my opinion. Would be in a similar place. Yeah. Middle of the road. Gavin Man just says, just noticed Nico's t-shirt. Yeah, baby. Daddy Saurus Rex right here. My man. Word 789 agrees. Iron Man Jr. Spider-Man aspect really annoyed me. And Pedro agrees. That's when they turned the character into Iron Man. Giza likes your shot, Big Tone. Scorsese probably could do a good Punisher movie. And Pedro Sancto says, I hate Spider-Man having constant radio chats with an assistant, aka 24's Chloe. Was that in recent edition? I haven't read the recent editions of Spider-Man, actually, Big Tone. That you're going to have to answer that one. Does he have a radio assistant?
You know what? I can't remember. Like, I haven't read any specific Spider-Man comics in the last probably couple of years. Just like the big crossovers, and I've never seen him with an assistant. I think that's something like specific to the films.
Yeah. Giza 1962 says, so true. Iron Man was really a minor comic book hero. All credit goes to Robert Downey. He made that character into the best Avenger. Ooh, best Avenger? Oy. Now you've just opened up a can of worms. Not with me, but I imagine there's going to be a lot of people. No, Thor! Captain America. August Fernandez Brito says, what the fuck? AJ changed a lot. So while we've got a lot of people here, I actually said this at the beginning when just a few people had tuned in. Guys, AJ is off this week because he's actually afflicted quite severely with COVID. So if everyone could please send their love to him, that would be greatly appreciated. You can drop the comments down below and I'll send them off to him. But yeah, I'll read out. Actually, do you know what? I'll read it out now since we're on the topic. He does send a message through to everyone. Bear with me. Hey, screeners. If I could get the message up, that would be great. Hey, screeners. Sorry, can't be with you all today. The global one has got me, but as well as my top 10, just wanted to wish everyone a happy holiday season and hopefully catch you next week. P.S. If you haven't already, go see No Way Home, but more importantly, enjoy this episode. Love from AJ. So that is, and I'll read AJ's top 10 out when we get to the end. But yeah, AJ is afflicted quite badly, quite badly. So yes, that's an answer to that, August. Riri Thomas says a lot of people call Tom Holland's version Iron Boy. They're not keen on how much influence there was.
Iron Boy, that's funny.
It's kind of on point though, isn't it? And Andy Hart says, really looking forward to what Raimi does with Doctor Strange. So much. So much. Just bring that horror element that he's famous for into a Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Oh, it's going to be great. Oh, it's going to be so great. Here we go, straight away. Word 789 says, I hope Raimi adds horror element. Yes, please, God, let that be. Frank Torres, thank you for your well wishes. August says, we love you, AJ. Take care. Thank you, guys. Get well soon, AJ. Thank you, Gavin. And Pedro Santos agrees. Iron Boy is genius. Iron Boy is actually amazing. So that was both of our number 5. Big Tom, what is your number 4, please, sir?
Okay. My number 4 is Homecoming.
Big Tone, that is also my number 4.
We'll
How cool is this poster?
Yeah, you see, that's a Spider-Man poster.
Now that is a freaking poster. How cool is that? Anyway, yeah, Homecoming. This one's special for me because you know what? for all the love I had for Andrew Garfield, I was a little bit bitter that I was like, oh God, they've lost
Yeah,
Andrew
they
already.
recast him again.
Oh, they can't. Yeah, you've got that bitterness when you've actually found someone who you really like, and then he's gone through no fault of his own, and it's recasting. It's like, well, in Marvel we trust. All hail Kevin Feige, our tribal chief. That's a WWE reference for you there. And but for me, I know Word 789 said they didn't like him, but like I think Tom Holland nails this character, and to see him arrive without having to have the Uncle Ben story done a la Pearls again. It's just nice that you've got that kind of teenage aspect, which he's kind of famous for, to be honest. And I think they nailed it. And Michael Keaton.
Well, Michael Keaton was the standout of that film. Like, his whole demeanor, the way he spoke when he's giving in that little speech in the warehouse where he's just stalling for time. You don't understand, Peter. You're young.
Yeah.
Like, he was a brilliant casting. Like, it was such a good call to cast him in that role.
I adore Michael Keaton. And I don't mean just because of Batman. I am so happy we are living in what can only be described as the Keatonaissance. Because, oh my God, The Founder is amazing.
That's an amazing film.
That's an
If
amazing
you haven't
film.
seen that, go out and watch that.
That is sensational. Birdman. Yeah, it's become trendy to hate on it. People saying it's a gimmick movie. I adore that film.
It's funny. It's what it is, isn't it?
He's like Michael Keaton is just the man. He's so he's reminded the world how much of a good actor he is. This isn't just Batman, Beetlejuice, and Mr. Mom. Like the guy is certified. He's so good.
But let's be real. We're all excited to see him in the Flash.
Yes, but is it a Flash movie then, or is it just Batman Returns?
Nah, but it's Flashpoint, isn't it? Yeah, so
they're trying so hard to get their Spider-Verse, aren't they?
Well, to be honest, like DC did do it first. I keep trying to point this out. They did it first.
Not on screen, they didn't.
Yes, they did on the screen. Their What's It Crisis of Infinity.
Oh, the CW. Fuck that.
Yeah,
shit.
the CW stuff. No, they still did it first. Like they was the first to bring in like the Superman Returns Superman into the Arrowverse and say basically all of their universes are connected.
See, I gave up on the CW verse because I thought the way Flash season 1 ended, I was like, nah. That was the worst ending I think I have ever seen in a TV show.
An argument for the CW first because I'm not like they lost me as well. I'm just saying that they did do it first, like, and they did do it properly first because again you had
okay, not on the big screen,
on the big screen, but they had Brandon Routh in it reprise his role as Superman Returns Superman fighting.
That was nice, and obviously they had Kevin Conroy as Batman, which is nice, and
exactly, yeah. So.
They had some good stuff, no doubt. But I'm sorry, what's his face? Who plays Oliver Queen? What's his name? Stephen Amell.
Stephen Amell.
He's fucking awful. He's
really?
He's awful. If anyone wants to see how good Stephen Amell is, just go and watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. Oh my word!
Come on, that's not fair now.
Did you see him as Casey Jones?
That's not fair now.
Oh my!
Like you put him in this worst
I'm firing shots, but they're fair shots. They're fair shots.
I think he was pretty good in Arrow up to season 4, probably.
Oh, beta Batman.
That can't be argued with. But Green Arrow arguably has always been a beta Batman.
Yeah. Pedro Sancto says, I like Michael Keaton a lot, but thought he was a terrible Batman and even worse Bruce Wayne. Oh, shit!
It's controversial.
Damn, we got some controversy in the chat today. Don't like Scorsese, don't like Tom Holland, don't like Keaton. And guys, do you know what? I love you all for this. Because how boring would it be if we all agreed and we were all revolted? I think it's awesome hearing people. I think it's freaking fascinating. For a lot of, he's not my favorite, but for a lot of people, Keaton is their Batman. Like for me, Christian Bale for the win. But
yeah, Christian Bale's my Batman. So
yeah, like AJ's so weird. I mean, AJ, I love you if you're watching, but he's so weird about some stuff. Is that I don't like Woody Harrelson. I don't like South Park. I don't like Jackass. I think Bale is a bad Batman because he growls. It's like.
Well, but
You
we
wouldn't just
all
use
have
your
our
normal
things.
voice, would you?
We all have our things, in it. Like, you guys hate Idris. Who else is it you got a problem with?
Oh, Will
Like,
Ferrell. Fuck that guy.
like your hate for Will Ferrell is so hilarious, man.
It's deep. The hate for Will Ferrell is deep. The hate for Will Ferrell is real, my friend. Frank Torres says, Aunt May catching Peter in the costume is best sign off to a Spider-Man movie. We left the theater laughing. Yeah.
Exactly. And the way she reacted as well, it was on point.
So on point.
See, I do like Homecoming for one reason, like in particular. It really humanized Spider-Man
Yeah.
more so than pretty much all the other films. Like he wasn't fighting no like, world ending like being or whatever.
No, he was your
Right?
friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Exactly. And like a
Yes.
very contained story fighting a villain that like, is kind of on his level.
Yeah. Yeah, literally. And even then, he kind of got his ass whooped.
Yeah, well, several times.
Yeah. Now, there's one thing that they did in Homecoming, which, okay, second spoiler warning for Homecoming, is minor though. Like it's one of those things which most people would have probably forgotten about. Scorpion is in Spider-Man Homecoming. Where the fuck was he in No Way Home?
Yeah, but we haven't actually seen Scorpion properly.
But he's there. Why have they not gone back to
They've
this
set him
awesome
up.
character?
But here's the thing, innit? Like, if we do get a Spider-Man 4, we can do Scorpion.
They must. They must. They have to. Oh, here's a fun fact for you. The actor who plays Scorpion, do you play the Far Cry games?
Yeah.
Have you played Far Cry 3?
Yeah.
Vas? Have I ever told you the
he's
definition
Vas.
of insanity? That's Vas. Same
is
guy.
it?
That's Vas. The guy who plays Scorpion is fucking Vas.
Oh,
How cool
wow.
is that for a geeky tie-in?
Wow, that's mad.
It's mad, isn't it? It's such a good
Yeah.
one. And that's why I'm like, please give me Scorpion. Vas the Scorpion. All day. Yes. All day. Gavin Mann says, speaking of Keaton, did you see Worth on Netflix? Stanley Tucci in the supporting role is brilliant. No, and that is being added to my watch list for tonight. Worth. Thank you, Gavin. Riri Thomas says, I think Zendaya is a great MJ.
Yeah. I think she is, as in the fact that she's not MJ. She's a different MJ completely. And it's a different character. It's a different leading lady to any of the ones we've seen. She's completely different from Gwen and Kirsten Dunst's Mary Jane.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
she's just, I'm sorry to objectify for any ladies in the chat. Please don't hate me. I'm just appreciating. She is one of the most beautiful women on the planet. Oh my fucking God. Like, Dan the Tech, the madman saying, she's not that hot. By the end of it, he was like, okay, I see what you're saying. It's like, yes. Yes. Zendaya is stunning. Like, she's your beautiful. And she's also a hell of an actress.
She is a hell of an actress. That's why she's getting like all the roles, like all of the roles. Yeah. But like what I like about her is that she's not really been that that person just to get in the way to like further along the story or for the hero to swoop in and save. She's just been funny. She's been snarky. She's actually like helped him out in many situations. Like I know antagonist. She's probably my favorite one. Like the female antagonist.
She was great in the. Well, I mean, great. She was very good in The Greatest Showman. She didn't have that much to do. I thought for the little role that she had, she was a scene stealer in Dune. But I'm an unabashed defender of that movie. I thought.
Nah, but
Dune
you know what? She's
incredible.
coming though, isn't it? I mean, that's the whole thing. Dune was opening season, and I can't wait for part 2.
How good was Dune, bro?
Dune was
fucking Dune was so good. Andy Hart says, yeah, visual masterpiece, absolutely. Andy Hart says, did they bring back Singer and Spacey? Moving on. Pedro Santos says, isn't Zendaya's character more of a Gwen Stacy than MJ? Yeah, big tongue gets in. When I used to read the comics, MJ was a famous rich model. So they've reinvented a lot. So there's always been this kind of thing like she's MJ, she's not Mary Jane. But then, okay, third spoiler, warning, just tune off for 5 seconds. They call her Watson. Like, in No Way Home, they do call her that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of confused now with this MJ. Is she?
She's
traditional?
that like universe's equivalent of Mary Jane. It's as simple as that. Like,
Yeah.
and they establish clearly in No Way Home that some things are the same, some things are different in different ways. They even refer to Gwen as his MJ. Yeah, as
Which I thought was beautiful.
mm.
I thought that was a beautiful touch. Andy Hart says Keaton was a great Batman and the best Bruce Wayne. No, Bale. But I defend your right to have that opinion.
He's the second best.
He is the second best.
Yeah.
Giza 1962 says no one likes Zendaya. She is beautiful, but no one likes her character. Big Tone, I invite you to disagree because I know you will.
No, I like her character. Like again, she's what do you call it? I like the snidiness. I don't know. It's just maybe
She's so sassy.
exactly, yeah, the sassiness, the snidiness, the piss take and everything. Yeah, like it's a nice break from the norm of the typical antagonist that we've been getting.
Yeah.
Like the female, like with Kirsten Dunst always falling off high places. Yeah, Gwen Stacy like running into danger, even though there's an electric guy, a guy literally shooting lightning about. But all right, let's go run into danger. I choose to be here. Okay, let's see how that works out for you.
Yeah, legit. Pedro Sancto says Bale was the best Bruce Wayne so far, and he also should have been James Bond back in the day. Mixed Memorabilia says, God blessings to AJ. He will be okay. He's a cool, calm, collected warrior. Beautiful words. Thank you, Mixed Memorabilia. Gavin Mann says, Adam West, anyone?
He's a product of his time. Like, he's a classic, and without him, we might not have the others today. So you got to give him his props.
You do. You do. Riri Thomas. It's not often we disagree, but Riri Thomas says Bale was the best mix, but I would say Affleck is the best Bruce Wayne. Oof.
Actually, if you think about it, though, like, it does actually Bruce Wayne. Ben Affleck's very good as Bruce Wayne.
I don't like Ben Affleck, mate.
As Bruce Wayne, he's very good.
Although, do you know what annoyed me about him? They gave him some great lines. He had such good lines in Batman v Superman. Tell me, do you bleed? It's such.
Yeah, but then they went and ruined it. Yeah, with the whole
Martha.
What is that name?
It was like
how upset I was, isn't it? Like seeing that film after thinking Man of Steel was one of the best superhero films I've ever seen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then that's what they did in the sequel. I was peed off, man.
Bro, to be fair, the director's cut is a huge improvement on the theatrical release. The problem, why did you say that name? Is still in there.
That's still there. To be honest, with that whole thing, I feel what they should have done is split that film into two. It should have been like Batman versus Superman, and that should have been the main focus.
Bingo.
Not anything else. Not no Wonder Woman. Not no Doomsday. You could have done that in the sequel, Dawn of Justice.
Just do the Frank Miller storyline. Just do the Dark Knight Returns, not Rises, Returns. Just do that, culminating. Oh,
yeah. Exactly. There doesn't need to be any Lex. There doesn't need to be any Wonder. There doesn't need to be any It's damn sure should have been Doomsday. Doomsday should have appeared to like a good few films down. Yeah,
big time, bro.
You killed off Superman in the second film as well.
It killed me because the way that Man of Steel finished, with the semi-leveling of Metropolis, you could have done the Frank Miller storyline in there. The different gangs that were springing up. Yes, granted, it was in Gotham, but you could have put that in Metropolis.
You know what? To be honest, Batman vs Superman started off awesome.
Yes,
that first season was brilliant.
Brilliant. I completely agree. But you've got one of the greatest comic writers of all time. He's literally written the script for you. It's there. It exists in animated form. The fight in that film, you could have just literally done copy paste, and the Geek Boys would have been happy. And that speech that old man Bruce gives Superman when he's beaten him. I want you to remember the one man who beat you.
Yeah, and you're
Why didn't we
crisis
get that? No,
moments.
what we got is, why do you say that name? It's like, fuck you.
And then, like I said, like if they would have took the concepts that they had at the later part of that film and fleshed it out in a whole other film, Dawn of Justice, yeah, where you introduce Wonder Woman, yeah, you introduce like Lex Luthor, but instead of it being Doomsday, it should have been Metallo or someone,
Yeah. Nice. Great shout.
yeah,
Love that.
and then you have them teaming up, and then that goes into Justice League.
Oh, dear. It was depressing.
Anyway,
Anyway, there's a
hindsight's a
lot
wonderful
of
thing.
Batman comments coming in here, but I want to bring it back to Spidey. So I apologize to everyone, but let's keep it Spider-Man for now. So we've talked Homecoming. Big Tone, what is your... Oh, sorry, let me get my list up quickly. Big Tone, what is your number 3, please, sir?
Okay, my number 3 is the OG, the original Spider-Man.
Wow. So that was the punt from earlier, yes?
Yeah.
Damn. Toby and his stupid face, man.
All right, let's put his stupid face and like how you might personally feel about him aside. No one can deny how they felt back in 2000 when that film came out.
100%. 100%.
X-Men had just come out, yeah, which was a nice start, and also we had Blade and all that,
Which was
yeah,
amazing.
in the late 90s, early 2000s. But
Mm.
Spider-Man is the first real modern superhero film. Yeah,
100%.
The way that they shot the whole film, like of course William Dafoe knocked it out the park and became basically the baseline for villains for the next 20 years. Yeah. That amazing soundtrack. We need as a hero to save
And they
us.
say that a hero will save us. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Saliva and Nickelback, innit? Yeah, that was
Yeah,
actually
there
cheesy
you
but
go.
great.
There you go. And then all the good scenes, where he gets the webs and just launches himself just across the air. So many great parts of that film.
It was
It's cheesy as hell.
well,
But
it is
now,
and it
but that's
isn't.
looking from a 2021 lens. There is a lot of there's a lot of cheese in it, but it's not done in a way where it would destroy my enjoyment of it whatsoever.
Correct.
It's just it's just stuff that make you smile. Just think, yeah, 2001.
The thing is that this is a point I was making earlier, right? Spider-Man has always been the top tier Marvel guy until now, when Iron Man's obviously potentially dethroned him, and it's certainly in the more less hardcore geeky but more popular sphere. One would argue that Iron Man's dethroned him, but you go back, arguable. You go back to the turn of the century, we'd only had freaking 1977's Nicholas Hammond on screen so far, and now you're going to show me a swinging Spider-Man? Like, oh shit,
The effects.
Yeah, man. Green Goblin's gonna like that scene on the Brooklyn Bridge is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome, and it does have moments of not just levity but gravity. When he arrives, he's like, "Goblin, what have you done?" He the thing that Toby missed for me in these movies is that he didn't have that cocky arrogance.
It wasn't cheeky, basically.
He wasn't cheeky, which Spider-Man needed.
Again, Spider-Man always has the one-liners. I mean, he does have a few one-liners and everything, but it's not at the rate that it should be. Yeah, and to be honest, I don't think any of the live-action Spider-Mans have got that down yet. Where
Holland's got the closest for me.
Huh?
Holland's got the closest for me.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I've seen them say a couple of insults, but to point out how integral it is, in the comics, this whole storyline where Spider-Man got his body took over by Dr. Octopus, and it's called the Spectacular Spider-Man.
Yeah.
No, Superior Spider-Man. Sorry, and Green Goblin was fighting Spider-Man, and he was able to tell that Peter Parker was the real Peter Parker just by Spider-Man uttering one of his quips.
Right.
And the panel was so funny because you just see the zoom in his face, and you knew instantly that's the real Peter Parker. Yeah, and
Bingo.
I just have not seen
Do you
that
know
level of banter brought out in the films.
Holland's banter in Civil War? I thought was on
Yeah,
point.
actually, that was good. Yeah, you're right. It was pretty
You know,
close
with the
to it.
Star Wars references that, oh wow, you got a metal arm. It's really cool. You know, he had that childlike wonder about him. That's as close as I think as we've got to proper Spider-Man
Yeah.
for me. Yeah. So the few Batman comments here that I'm going to have to breeze over, guys. Pedro Santos says Spider-Man 1 was excellent, groundbreaking at the time. Andy Hart, I agree with you. Blade was so much better than X-Men and First Spider-Man. Completely. Of those three, Blade is the top movie. You will.
But see, at the time though, everyone has to be honest. I don't think anyone looked at Blade as a superhero film.
No, they looked at it as
Back
a
then.
vampire movie. We look back
Yeah.
now that we know, but most people didn't even acknowledge the freaking Marvel intro at the beginning. I don't even think it had
Well,
one.
it wasn't. It wasn't at the beginning of the first film.
They downplayed it, didn't they?
It wasn't at the beginning of the first film. It was the second film,
Mhm.
the Marvel Crow. But yeah, I already do Blade because of the animated series where they had that team up.
Yeah. Which I'm hoping Blade kind of ties into Morbius. You know what I mean? That's how we can link the Sonyverse.
Well,
And
it'll be a shame if they don't do that.
so much. Considering that Keaton's in there, so they're kind of crossing universes already. But anyway, that's fan speculation. Geezer 1962 says, sorry about Toby's stupid face. It was the only one he had. Frank Torres says, no Nickelback slander. I second that, Frank. And Pedro Santos then says, anyone remember the first trailer with the Twin Towers? Vaguely. Chilling to watch now.
Nah, I don't remember.
Frank Torres says, I think we can say with this massive No Way Home box office bow this past weekend is that Spider-Man is back on top of the Marvel Universe. It's been a year since Iron Man 3. Yeah, that's true. Geezer 1962 says, I'm still confused about the whole Marvel, Sony, Disney situation. How will this play out in the future? I think this is pure speculation, Geezer 1962. And Big Tone, feel free to agree or disagree, obviously. But I think what's going to happen is the door is open for Spider-Man to come back as and when they need him. I still think Tom Holland is going to be playing Spider-Man for a while, but I think he's going to be very much playing in Sony's playground for the time being. And then when they want to do an assembly, they'll bring him back in. That's my feeling.
I mean, the beautiful thing is they can do a lot of things here. I mean, they can make a whole nother trilogy for Spider-Man set in the MCU, which is a bit more grounded towards the Spider-Man that we know. They could even bring back Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. Say if you need the Sony first, they can continue with the original plans to do that Sinister Six movie with him that they set up at the end.
Never gonna happen.
It may not happen, but again, recent events have showed us things that we thought was never going to happen.
Never. It's true, never say
has
never.
happened. So, the ball's in their court. It's all about what's going to make them the most money in the end.
Yeah.
And what people are going to be most receptive to. And to be honest, with Spider-Man, people are showing up regardless.
Yeah. So it's Geezer 1962. We don't know is the answer, but the door is open and those studios are going to keep working together. And Tom Holland's just renewed his contract. So you will see it all happening for a while still. Mixed Memorabilia asks, out of curiosity, where does the Flash feature in the Marvel, DC, etc. universe? Okay, Marvel, DC, completely separate things. Flash belongs with DC and Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman. So the less good side, arguably. Not in terms of characters, in terms of the movies we've been given.
Yeah. It's funny, though. In terms of cartoons and animation, it's the other way around. DC
Completely.
has blown anything Marvel's really done.
Well, not just that. Let's not beat around the bush.
Animated.
But let's also not beat around the bush. DC have got the 3 biggest comic book characters of all time. That's not a debate. Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. They are the biggest.
They are, but I know it's questionable nowadays, isn't it?
Populace, yes. Geek culture, no, I guess, is the way we look at it. based on how the movies have performed, I mean, they ain't got shit on Marvel, but historically, DC have got the big guns, not Marvel. It's crazy to think Iron Man is a C-list hero. He is. Iron Man was so not cared about that when Sony went and basically purged Marvel back in the day, they said,
nah, we don't want him.
give us Spider-Man. Do you want the Hulk? Do you want something else? It's fine. Just give us Spider-Man. You keep the rest. And they literally created a universe out of B-listers and C-listers. Yeah. Oh, look, AJ's in the house. AJ, good to have you here. AJ, you're missed, and there's a lot of love coming your way from the crowd. But yeah, so Big Tone, that was your number 3. I get it, putting that high. I'm guessing we're about to say punt here because Big Tone, my number 3 is Spider-Man No Way Home.
Punt.
Yep, thought that was coming. So your number 2, please.
My number 2 is Spider-Man 2.
Your number 2 is Spider-Man 2. That is a punt.
Okay.
My number 2 is your ridiculous fucking positioning of this movie. This is the one big one I'm like, no. My number 2 is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And yes, I do rate this film higher than I rate No Way Home. Not because of the experience I had. I'm completely with you, Big Tone. Spider-Man No Way Home gave me, not quite, but it gave me close to Avengers Endgame levels of enjoyment because of the cinematic experience of the crowd we had around us, right? Because of the legacy and the lineage of the film. The experience is a huge component of how one ranks a movie, but taking the emotion out of it, looking objectively, Spider-Verse is a better movie. It's less flawed. It's the way that the characters come into the universe, especially the Spider-Man, is way more believable. We'll get to No Way Home spoilers when we get it into your position. But as I told you off air before, I love No Way Home. It has issues. It does have issues. I think Into the Spider-Verse is as close as you can get to a flawless Spider-Man movie as possible. It's one of the best animated movies I've seen for years and years and years. Like the movie's fire, man.
There was many things I did like about it. I especially liked Octavia, like Dr. Octopus, the female version. That was great. Even the little origin story they had of why Kingpin hates Spider-Man, that was really good. Yeah, and like quite deep as well. Prowler was great. The way they showed
Prowler
him.
was great.
Yeah, it went down well too easily though, man. How you die one shot. But anyway.
You die one shot.
Yeah, I mean, like, I would have thought that suit, was bulletproof or something, but guess
One would
not.
hope.
I suppose, like, I mean, I did like that film, and everything. But the thing is, though, it's just something that's on like a different level. Like, it's a different form of entertainment for me than, say, the live action Spider-Man films, because obviously you really got to suspend your belief here, really, like, because you got Spider Pig and stuff like that. Yeah, like this is more
Spider Ham.
Spider Ham. Yeah, that's it.
Spider Pig is The Simpsons.
Yeah, The Simpsons. Like, and which is all cool, but then this falls more into the entertainment where I'm watching this to be entertained, like in terms of watching like any cartoon or something.
Yes. In terms of the entertainment I got, as I said, I had a bigger kick with No Way Home, but I do put that down to the fact that I was with all of my friends, and I put that down to the fact that I was with in a cinema who were clearly all after the same experiential treatment. The way I've ranked it is purely based as a movie. I think the music in Spider-Verse is just fucking insane. The animation style, the pacing of the movie, the uniqueness of bringing these universes together in this animated realm. It was just like, wow, okay.
I didn't like the animation style all that much.
But again, that's a personal thing. For me, I was just like, a lot of people like, here's a sacrilegious thing. I think the animation in Spirited Away is slightly overrated. I know, burn the witch, but I love that film.
Again, it's subjective, isn't it? Yeah, it's all about what you looked at and seen. One thing I feel that they've done is they've created a massive problem for themselves later down the line, because I don't see how you're gonna be able to give Miles Morales a better intro story than
You
you
can't.
did in Into the Spider-Verse. Like
You can't.
that was the one. That was the story. Like I
That
don't
was
see
the
how you're
story.
gonna be able to do it justice when you eventually do the live action version of it.
Peter's roommate, like they did in the video games.
Yeah, I suppose they could go that route. But like again, how they handled Peter Parker in that was great.
Yeah.
Spider Gwen in that was great. You
Peter
know.
Parker and his dad bod. I'm sorry, that
Yeah,
was
exactly. Hilarious.
genius. And it makes
Hilarious.
sense. You know, you get jaded, you stop taking care of yourself, you stop pumping weight, you two will have a dad bod. Spider dad. I get it.
Yeah. I mean, like,
Den Cook firing shots at you, by the way. Big Tony, you crazy? Spider-Verse was amazing. Yep. It is.
like I said, Spider-Verse is amazing. And that's because my place. Like I said, if I could probably put stuff on the same level, but then again, like, it's about how these films made me, like, feel. Into the Spider-Verse is probably one of the more recent films I've seen. Yeah, and I watched it. I like it. I thought it was good, but in the same way, I would think something like Incredibles is good or something like that. Yeah, like
Yeah. Actually, that's a really nice example. You know, it's
yeah.
I guess you
But like the
it's
Spider-Man films, again, I suppose what the difference is like obviously they all require suspension of belief, but the
mm.
realism in the live action films probably makes me like them that much more.
And that's fair. And bro, at the end of the day, this is the beautiful thing about a top 10. How you rank your list is down to you and your preference. I've gone maybe a bit of a snobby way, but it's kind of like, you know, I'm ranking it based on, you know, kind of objective critique of the movie. Look, if I went enjoyment and No Way Home would
No, but
probably rank higher.
all of that fits in. Like your objective critique of the films, your actual personal enjoyment, even nostalgia and stuff like that. It
Mm.
all factors into where you're gonna like make your very subjective list and what you're gonna place at number one and number 10.
Yeah,
You know. But
completely.
like I said before, I wouldn't say any of these films are inherently bad. It's just I like some more than others.
Spider-Man 3. Inherently bad. Emo Man. Mixed memorabilia tone. This is a question for you for sure. A question I must ask. What did you guys think of the Street Fighter 2 animated movie?
That is the definitive like representation of Street Fighter. Yeah, on any film, really. I mean, yes, I do love as a guilty pleasure the Sean Claude Van Damme, Raul Julia, and mostly because of Raul Julia, right? Because obviously he blew it away with his lines and everything. But the true representation of Street Fighter on video is that movie. You know, the way Bison is shown, the way Gao's shown, Ryu and Ken, Ryu being the main protagonist as he should be. Yeah.
Yep.
If you
But
haven't
you
seen
do
that
have
film,
one of the best speeches ever from Jean-Claude Van Damme. They are killing our friends, but they're sending us home. Well, I am not going home. AJ knows what's coming. AJ's already got me there. I'm going to go up to Bison, and AJ say it with me. I'm going to kick him in the balls. it's Van Damme attempting to do dramatic pause. You know, he
that
thinks he's
man.
Daniel Day-Lewis up in this in There Will Be Blood. I drink your milkshake. Dramatic pauses are effective. Jean-Claude
But
Van Damme.
you
Kick
see,
him in the
this is
balls.
exactly what I'm talking about. Street Fighter is one of those films where I got high enjoyment out of. Maybe
Hell
not
yeah.
for the right reasons, but you know, it's a great laugh. One, it had fire lines from M. Bison. Two, it had terrible acting from Kylie Minogue and
Oh,
Sean
God.
Claude Van Damme.
Oh, God.
And then it had entertaining fight scenes as well.
I'll say this, though. If we're talking like video game fight movies, I will defend Mortal Kombat until the cows come home.
No, Mortal Kombat is actually the definitive computer game film.
Yeah.
I mean, like, yes, it is corny in a lot of
As
places and
fuck.
everything, but again, that film actually understood the essence of what the hell the game was on about. Hell, like even the new Mortal Kombat like has sort of took a sidestep from what really, what really the game was actually about. Like, and like introduce some new character that no one cared about. Like, damn, this How hard is it to make these computer game films, man? Just stick to the game.
I don't know. Just ask Fassbender, innit?
Yo, that is one of the most greatest disappointments of like
So
like
much.
all
It's
time,
so
cinematic
sad for
all
you.
time. Because again, how can you get that wrong? You got an amazing actor in Fassbender, yeah, and like you got an easy concept in Assassin's Creed, yeah. Like you don't have to go extravagant and put some silly arm that like mimics their movements and all that. Just do it
Oh, I
how it
know. I
was in the
know.
games, the animus, virtual reality, simple. Yeah, why are
Yeah.
you ruining it for?
Why are you ruining it for? Why is that? Last thing before we just get back onto Spider-Man, just because Frank Torres has pulled up such a good line here from Street Fighter. The Raul Julia speech to Ming Na Wen was incredible. For me, it was Tuesday.
Yeah.
That's such a good line.
That's the line of the film. That's the
It's
line
the
of the
line of
film,
the
man.
film. Right, so Big Tone. That we've done your number 2, which was I'm blanking. What was your number 2?
Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2, which I punted. My number 2, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So your number 1,
Spider-Man No Way Home.
Spider-Man No Way Home. Now I'm going to follow Mr. Dan Cook's advice here, and I'm going to say, you, sir, are riding the wave, and you are not looking at this objectively. But is it awesome? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's awesome. It's fucking awesome. Now, just forewarning before you carry on, Big Tone, and then the floor is yours, guys. Arms waving. There will be spoilers here. Okay, forewarning. We're going to embellish this movie with spoilers. So if you haven't
Let's
seen
try
it,
not to too much.
not too much. We're not going to go into every single fucking nook and cranny of the movie. Just please, forewarning, we do want to give this movie its justice. There will be some spoilers here. Okay, warning.
Mm-hmm.
Over to you, sir.
Okay. Like I said, like I know, like that's probably how like some of you all look at it, like oh, it's a ride in the wave and everything. But I'm just looking at how I feel about the films, which ones I will watch again, and what order I'd watch them again. And again, none of the Spider-Mans have really given me as much enjoyment as I got from No Way Home. Like this was so much like just perfect little love letters for a Spider-Man fan who's been with the series from the beginning, like all coming together and a big like thank you letter to us. Like everything we wanted, we got in that film. Yeah. We got the redemption of characters like Electro, yeah, like
Oh,
who you would have thought like, oh man, Jamie Foxx is such a good actor, why couldn't they do better? They did better here. Yeah, like I thought personally William Dafoe's the best Spider-Man villain. Yeah, and here he is. And he is the de facto villain
he
of the
is the de
film.
facto villain. He was so good. And it
Yeah,
was the way they peppered some of the original lines that at the time, especially Green Goblin, like, can Spider-Man come out to play? It was so cheesy in the first movie, like the way he called him on the phone. The way they landed that line in this movie was a thing of beauty.
yeah, and the
Beauty.
interactions with each other as well, like, was great. Like Doc talking to the Goblin, like Lizard talking to Electro,
Yeah.
like so many great parts, little Easter eggs, and like look, to be honest, if you're watching this, you know what it is. The
Yeah.
other two Spider-Men are in the film.
They are.
Yeah, and
And the way I said this in the review, which is on the channel now, my review for Spider-Man No Way Home. It does not sit right with me the way those two Peter Parkers are brought in.
me personally, see, I disagree because I don't feel that you need to overcomplicate it or have some convoluted way of them showing up. My only problem was in maybe the exact method,
You got
how
it.
they was brought into it. Yeah, now that was just a bit of a wavy. Oh, this character can suddenly do that. Okay, why has he done it before? Yeah, but
It took the
the
Sorcerer
reveal
Supreme
though,
years and years and years of training in Shambhala to
yeah,
be able to do that.
exactly.
My man Ned comes along and goes, I want to see Peter Parker. Oh, hi, Andrew Garfield. It's like, yo.
Nah, but that reveal though, that was
Oh, the
good.
reveal was amazing. The
Because
reveal
again,
was
like the way
amazing.
he come out and then like, and like in the cinema, everyone just erupted.
Went nuts. They went nuts.
Everyone erupted.
But this is the genius of Kevin Feige in not so much in his storytelling, because just by the nature of the MCU, the movies are formulaic. They can be accused of being a bit copy and paste. But the one thing Feige knows is how to predict his audience. He knew that scene, that specific moment, the Andrew Garfield reveal, was going to send thunderbolts through the cinema. And did you see when he took off the mask?
Yeah.
There was it was almost like in Friends, when they drop a line, they do that, plugged in, ha 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 laugh, and the actors specifically stop so that the laugh can be, faked in.
Yeah, that was.
It felt like that. It's like the mask came off. Feige knew audiences were gonna go nuts, and it was like, shh, silence. Let them enjoy.
And again, it's very clever as well, because again, the order that you did it was very correct to introduce Garfield first, and then you introduce the OG, the man whose face you hate, Tobey Maguire.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah, but again, that got even a louder ovation, to be honest. Yeah.
No, it did.
It did.
Sucker
I swear
dick.
that it did.
No, I swear down, the Garfield reaction was bigger than the Tobey Maguire.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. We hear it. Well, either way, was very loud.
It was loud. You heard one boo in the auditorium. This guy. I didn't even do it loud. I was sitting right next to Den, who's in the chat now.
I think his biasness of Tobey Maguire might have affected his hearing.
For sure.
No, but the way they interacted with each other, they are not just here as a cameo. They are legit side characters in the film.
Oh yeah.
Which I thought was brilliant as well. That's the type of thing that you wanted to see. You didn't just want them to show up for the last fight and then that's it. No, they talk to each other. They also talk about stuff in the films that, we would have liked to have known. And I'll tell you who really did blow out the park was Andrew Garfield, man. This was essentially
why are we surprised by this? Why are we surprised by this?
Spider-Man 2.5, really. Because he got redemption, he got closure in that film, and like I said, there's just so many things to like about this film, and of course, the Doctor Strange, your boy being in it, of course, how could he ever be bad? And the one fight with Spider-Man, I won't spoil one that.
I've got to address one thing that AJ said here because it is pissing me off. Did we really have time to seeing you Sorcerer be trained? Film was long enough. No, we didn't have time to seeing you Sorcerer be trained. However, we did have time to do a little bit of better script writing. Why could Doctor Strange not have come back and he be the one who, let me bring some people in?
No, because again,
bad idea, whatever. There were other ways of bringing in those two Peter Parkers.
Like I said, there could have been some better explanation. For instance, maybe that magic that Spider-Man shooter he had, maybe the magic of that opened the portals by accident or something.
Lovely. Go with that.
He can suddenly do that.
But a spell that took the Sorcerer Supreme years of training for college boy MIT reject. If you know, you know. College boy MIT reject who just, I want to see my friend. No, sorry, you can't get me to swallow that. Other than that, it's pretty flawed.
I mean, they had a couple of throwaway lines to try and fix it, but even still, that's the one thing I will say at the time film that didn't sit well with me. But then, there's so much that did. The fighting at the end, the combining of their powers, their little speeches they're making to each other, hilarious as well. And then, of course, even the way the villains does the back and forth, the banter, some of the lines. Jamie Foxx and Sandman, of all people, have one of the best lines in the film. You gotta be careful where you fall.
Yeah. That was a very good line. Look, I'm still very much riding the high from No Way Home, but I've taken a step back. I slept on it, which is why I didn't post the review same day, and it is great. It has its minor flaws. It does. No film is perfect, so I'm stating
it doesn't. Even Endgame has its minor flaws, isn't it?
Of course. It's too long.
But again, one thing I think people need to realize about the whole Iron Boy, Spider-Man Homecoming trilogy, this whole thing, judging by the end of No Way Home, this whole thing was an origin story for the MCU Spider-Man. All three movies tie up together, and by the end of the film, we are with the Spider-Man we know as Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's all of the like key parts and elements in place by the end of that film.
Yeah. Oh, and AJ, I've seen your comment. First off, never compare the Sorcerer Supreme to Twat Boy ever. That's a no-no. We do not compare Doctor Strange to Harry Potter. Also, Harry Potter can't do shit. Expelliarmus, suck a dick. It's all he's got. He's just got good friends.
I
Fuck
hope
Harry
there's no
Potter.
Harry Potter fans like in the audience.
There will be for sure. Look, so we punted earlier. We know what my number one is. I still think it's the best Spider-Man movie ever made. Spider-Man 2 is my number one. I don't think this has been topped. I just don't.
It's my number two, isn't it? And again, it's for good reason. Like you said, like this for many years was the de facto superhero film. There's like a reason why the person they used to push the whole No Way Home was Dr. Octopus. It's like, even when you see that claw come out for the first time, that got cheers. Like,
Big time.
again, like that whole train scene. So many there's great parts of Spider-Man 2 because obviously we've seen Spider-Man 1. Spider-Man 1 brought us into a whole new world, and Spider-Man 2 is just up in the ante. It's the Empire Strikes Back of superhero films, basically.
It really is. I think that's a fantastic way of saying it. It is the Empire Strikes Back of superhero films. They just took everything that was great about the first one and they upped the ante. That train scene is iconic. Doc Ock's amazing double character arc from being super good to super bad to super good again. Like, the inherent good lived within him despite his machinations. Like, it was perfection. The only thing, just like, as we were saying, no movie's perfect, although, who was it who said? Pedro says there's a few which are. I agree. Singing in the Rain, Jaws, those movies are perfect. I'll agree with you on that. But there was one scene where I just thought, no, you must not do that. It's when Mary Jane's rushing to him at the end and she's running across that square and they've used like one of those Instagram super bright filters that you see everywhere now. And there's like these white doves that fly in front of her. I'm like, oh, stop it. We didn't need to go that cheesy. This film was good already. Stop with the silliness.
Again, Tobey Maguire crying too much in these films, man.
It's real. Andy, I see your comment about The Godfather 2. Don't tempt me. But yeah, look, I think top to bottom, the acting in this film was great. The pacing in it was superb. Molina was an amazing Doc Ock. I can't really fault it, man. Like, this is, and he's my least. Here's how good this film is for me. Tobey Maguire and his stupid face is my least favorite Spider-Man, and yet his movie is my top.
Yeah, like, to be honest, the film does have its cheesy parts as well, but again, it's a product of its time. And like it's really just still a good watch. The fights and everything, the way Spider-Man moves, the Spider-Man combat.
Yep.
Yeah, where he just grabs the bag, swings it round, slaps him in the face,
Yeah. It's great. The end of the train scene hasn't aged well because we've all got our freaking, smartphones now. It's like, don't worry, Spider-Man, we won't tell anyone.
Again,
fuck
ultimate
you.
cheese, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
now it's like everyone be like, look at me, I'm with Spider-Man. What up?
It's like some selfie.
Selfie with dead Spider-Man. Yo, what up? I killed. There's gonna be people putting him on the floor, standing over him like that, going, "Yeah, beat up Spider-Man."
There'll
You
be
just
people
know that
nicking
would happen.
parts of his outfit to put on eBay.
Legit. And the one scene, the one line that still bothers me, he's just a kid. No, he's not. He's a 30-year-old man already. Like, don't you try and tell me Maguire and his stupid face is that old, is that young. Sorry.
Again, it's a suspension of belief thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, that's our rankings of the Spider-Man movies. AJ, as I said, did write in earlier, and I told you I would reveal his top 10 list. So AJ, who's in the chat right now, Number 10, Spider-Man 1977. Number 9, Spider-Man 3. Number 8, the original Spider-Man. Jesus Christ, AJ. Number 7, Spider-Man 2. Number 6, Spider-Man Far From Home. Number 5, The Amazing Spider-Man. Number 4, Spider-Man Homecoming. Number 3, Spider-Man 2. You're wrong. That's fine. Number 2, Into the Spider-Verse. That's correct. Number 1, Spider-Man No Way Home. Yeah, one more.
God, AJ, God, like me and you. It's a similar list there. Some of the things in it, yeah, it's like, wow, how are you gonna put Spider-Man the OG one so low? But hey, each to their own.
You get me? But how are you gonna put Spider-Verse so low?
Well, I told you because again, like basically, if there was another live action film, I probably might have included Into the Spider-Verse because that would be on the top of a list of a different list for me. Yeah, if we're talking about animated films and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then like Spider-Verse would be very much higher because again, I'll be like looking at it through that lens.
Now, while we discuss the Rushmore, guys, we're going to do things a little bit differently. Now, AJ, it's good that you're here, so you'll catch up this. So you'll hear this. This is an idea from Den the Tech, and I think it's a damn good one. Instead of everyone dropping their 10 favorites, or in this case, although on this episode, it's a weird one because I actually would be interested to see how people rank the Spider-Mans. But what we're going to do from sort of here on, maybe it'll be a thing we start in next year in season 5. No more top 10s. I want to hear what your Rushmores are, guys. So you give us your Rushmores, and we'll see if that influences our Rushmores. But Big Tone, let's build the Rushmore. It's you and me, brother. First time building a Rushmore together. I'm assuming Spider-Man 2 has to be in there.
Yes, of course.
I'm assuming No Way Home has to be in there.
Of course.
I'm assuming Spider-Verse has to be in there.
You know what? I will put Spider-Verse in there.
Okay, now how do we pick the fourth one?
Honestly, if we was to go number 4, I've probably got to give it to OG Spider-Man for being the originator.
It's a strong argument. I'd agree with that. And AJ, I'm with you here, man. Like Maguire just didn't kick it for me, nor me. I do not like him and his stupid face.
Why do people like his face?
He's my least favorite Spider-Man, but he was in the best movie.
But you see, like in it, like Nate did it. That's his most favorite Spider-Man. So
Maguire.
I
think my man Nate needs to just go and have. By the way, everyone who's been wondering why I hate Tobey Maguire so much, don't have time to go into it now because I hear my baby crying in the other room, so I'm going to have to get off in a minute. But by the way, I'm not just abandoning my child. The mother is there with her in case everyone was like, "You just left your baby alone." No,
she's just chilling in the car.
She's just chilling, crying by her. Yeah,
listening to the podcast.
Yeah, literally. Like, no, mummy's with her, but I'm not like terrible father of the year or anything. But yeah, so. The original OG Spider-Man. But yeah, so what I was saying about hatred for Tobey Maguire, don't have time to go into it. I just invite everyone to just Google Tobey Maguire Molly's Game. I will even type it in for you. Tobey Maguire Molly's Game. What happened there? Right done. And let's go back to normal. Thank you. Why are we in a private chat here? I don't know what the streaming service is doing. Let's try this again, shall we? Tobey Maguire Molly's Game. Go and enjoy some research on that one tonight, guys. And what I found fascinating about No Way Home is that Hollywood is very much, and cinema goers in general are very much, I don't support it, but people love a bit of cancel culture. Armie Hammer, allegedly a cannibal, we cancel him. Kevin Spacey, Kitty, we know what that man's done. Hashtag me too. We cancel him. Nearly cancelled Morgan Freeman. J.K. Rowling allegedly wrote something transphobic, even though there was not a transgender character in her book. It was a transvestite. So that was hysterical. But the world still tried to cancel J.K. Rowling. Go read up on Tobey Maguire. Because I think it's fascinating that people are like, nah, he gets a pass. He's not a good person. like I'm not gonna call for the cancel culture card, but I find it fascinating, kind of observing from the outside in, like the way people are like, that's wrong. But
the
that's wrong. But he was Spider-Man. He gets a pass.
No. But the reality is that I feel it's because they all the people in that had the element of criminality, so that's why people don't really care.
He was the fucker though. If you've seen Molly's
Nah,
game, he was Mr. Rag.
he did a douchey thing, but technically, Molly did actually do that to the same guy earlier.
But I'm not advocating Molly to have a platform to millions of people that makes billions of dollars. I'm just surprised that Disney have said, it's fine. Even James Franco, he was cancelled. Like, this motherfucker's cancelled. Toby's co-star. They're not bringing him back. Nah, he's cancelled.
What's Franco cancelled for?
Me Too stuff.
Oh, see. You know what? I did think it was weird that he didn't turn up in the film.
Cancelled, my friend.
Oh.
That's why I'm saying, looking from the outside in, it's like, so even the Goblin in the same movie as your Maguire boy, he done some shit. He's not cancelled. Maguire's done some shit. Every Spider-Man is bringing back.
I don't know if that's like something I would say is cancelled, bro. Like, you know, that's.
And Andy says it here. Andy Hart says this perfectly here. Molly's Game, the movie, went easy on Maguire. Oh yeah, big time. Read up on it. Big Tone. When we're done recording here, just Google Tobey Maguire Molly's Game. There is so much nasty shit this guy's been up to. Like it was, that's why I was shocked that they brought him in. I was like, okay, clearly we have tiers of cancel culture now. Have you played Spider-Man? You get a pass. Okay, that weird woke world we live in. And Anthony Jordan says, do not put both Spider-Man films in. Garfield deserves a spot. Actually, Big Tone. So I see where you're coming from with the whole give it to the OG Spider-Man man. I hear that. For the sake of the Rushmore being, you know, quintessential, diverse, must see. Yes, there's an argument to be made that the Amazing series aren't must see. But for the sake of diversity, do we put a Garfield in there or not?
You know, but like which one?
I mean, Amazing 1, I would say, if we're going to do one, because Amazing 2 is not very good.
Yeah, I suppose I can live with that. But
Can you live with that?
Yeah.
I want my guy to have a spot. Thank you, AJ, for pointing that one out. So let's go Amazing 1. All right. Big Tone. I'm going to have to, this is AJ. This is going to be very weird doing this without you, but let me try. Ladies and gentlemen, the official movie Mount Rushmore of Spider-Man movies in no particular order is Spider-Man 2. Our second entry is Spider-Man No Way Home. Our third entry is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And our final entry into the movie Mount Rushmore of Spider-Man movies is The Amazing Spider-Man 1. Let's wrap it there, Big Tone, because there's no actual... AJ's not here for one, so I can't actually go over what the previous Mount Rushmore was. And more to the point, there wasn't a previous Rushmore.
Man, the comments are funny. The Garfield movie sucked.
Wow. Pedro Sanctos, take it up with AJ. Mixed Member Radio says, agree with Andy. Nico, what's the matter with your Godfather 2 Amazing, especially De Niro? One word, yawn.
Oh no, you did not just say Godfather 2 is yawn.
Godfather 1, very good.
Oh my gosh, Nico. Oh man. Wow.
And on that note, and on that bombshell, I'm going to top gear this shit. And on that bombshell, it's goodbye. Guys, we are going to be back next week for our final show of the year. It will be on Tuesday. AJ, COVID allowing, will hopefully be back. If not, Big Tone, you better scramble because I'm going to bring you back too, my friend. But it will be AJ and myself back to round off season 4 next week. We will be counting down our top 10 movies of 2021. It hasn't been a great year, but there's been one or two hidden gems, which we're going to discuss. So please join us for the season finale next week. Between now and then, guys, we wish you all Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, have a great festive season. Just whatever it is you celebrate, whatever it is that you believe in, you go and have the best type of holiday season that you can have. Lots of food, lots of presents, lots of family, lots of loved ones around you. Season's greetings, many blessings to everyone. Anything you want to add, Big Tone?
All right. Thank you, everyone. It's been a great pleasure. You've been a great audience. Thank you, Pedro. Like, bear respect for that. I like to come back more often myself.
Pedro
Yeah.
Sanctos says, Big Tone, you need to come back more often. Pedro, Big Tone's on more often than you think. We're going to make him a regular for season 5. We love Big Tone.
All right, brilliant, guys. Yeah, you try and enjoy your holidays. Stay safe out there. Take the Omnicron thing seriously because it is. It got me. It's got AJ. You know, just make sure you wrap up. Take care of yourself, and everyone stay safe.
Stay safe, guys. Lots of blessings, lots of love. Merry Christmas to everyone and to all